Get ready to the countdown.
What a lad.
Poor dog.
Oh.
I'm sandwiched again, it's great.
Right,
ready?
nice sandwich.
Yep.
And two men. And Kyle.
This programme was brought to you by itsadult.com, the official adult business directory for fans, producers, services, webcam, phone chat and more. The original, the best, the UK porn podcast, hosted by Paul Taylor and Scarlett Gray. Exclusive industry chat all about UK porn. Brought to you by Dusk Films. Sponsored by itsadult.com.
Hello and welcome to the UK Porn Podcast, sponsored by itsadult.com, where we talk about the adult industry, what's going on and how it's constantly changing. We are now streaming obviously on all major platforms, including Periscope, YouTube, Smashcast, Vaughan Live, YouNow, and now FC2 Live and Stream Me. So we've got an extra 2 streams to our bow, lads. What do you think of that?
Not bad, not
And
bad.
lasses, I mean. So,
Great.
and you can also watch us obviously on the Twitter accounts at It's Adult and at UK Podcast _team. And of course, once the stream is over, you can listen to us on itsadult.com/UK Porn Podcast. So if this is your first time joining us, welcome. Obviously, you know it's a madhouse, and obviously it's going to be 2 hours-ish of talking bollocks. Because obviously,
it's not more.
well, all the ish is just because we've run over by ish fucking a few times so far, haven't we? Do you know what I mean? But nonetheless, I'm pleased that you've stumbled across us, and I hope that you'll enjoy the show. Now, obviously, this podcast is a bit different to most podcasts because in this live version that you listen to now, it's full of digital adverts. So in it, you'll see the amazing Red Roxy, the highest of calibre in product and motion graphics, Saucy Peach, another very talented designer, both of which I've used for different projects, and I'll tell you what, they both come highly recommended in their own right because they're really good lads. And of course the amazing web stream, Coding Wizards and joint owners of itsadult.com, Salacious Creations for all your tech needs, and of course the lovely Devon Breeze and Selena Secrets is now sponsoring us too. So if you want to get in on that, and you're a company or a web designer or a sex shop chain or even a model, if you want to advertise here, he always laughs at that because I've said no, then you can pay monthly to be featured over the next 2 hours. Fucking live coughs, cunt.
Sorry.
Email dustfilms@gmail.com for more info on our sponsorship packages. So, I am Mr. Paul Taylor, the CEO of Dusk Films and creator of Nerd Pervert.
No.
Who are you?
Like we don't know who you are. I'm Scarlett Gray.
I've never heard of it.
I'm a camera operator.
I am Chris Cummings. I am
Are you not your James Logan?
Oh yeah, shit. Sometimes, do you know what? I just get that into the character.
It's James Logan who plays Chris Cummins on Nerd Pervert.
That is correct.
And what else do you do? James.
Just, you know,
There's a long list.
work
We'll
in a
move on.
sex shop, yeah, blah blah blah, do all that stuff.
All that fame.
Get loads of men coming onto him and that. I'm gonna add that
Yeah, I know. Right.
Men like you.
Well, it is in the gay
What do you
area,
mean,
isn't
Dale?
it?
Mainly Craig.
He just pops in on a lunchtime.
Yeah,
Go on, suck me cock.
And
And who are you on the end?
Craig Coulson.
Boy band haircut.
Boy band haircut, Justin Bieber, not lookalike.
I'm pleased you fucking said that. So So what's everyone been up to? Any Black Friday deals, folks?
Ooh.
Did you go anything?
I mean, we did. Oh wait, hang on. I did all my Black Friday shopping like the week before.
Oh, I didn't ask you last Monday then.
I don't know.
So,
Because it wasn't Black Friday, that's why.
so what did you do before Black Friday then? See?
nice.
So the deals are on before and after?
Exactly, aye. Like
2 weeks.
Black Friday is Black Fortnite.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you reckon everyone just ODs on it now so all the Christmas presents are bought? Because you know it's going to go back up and then the fucker's going to go down again in the Boxing Day sales.
Maybe it's like.
So there's a tiny period where everything's full price, and some unorganised twats will probably still pay full price.
That's why I end up getting everyone money. Like, it's dead impersonal, but then I'm just like, go out the next day and buy shitloads more.
I just go to the pub with it. Or
Yeah, exactly, aye.
yeah.
But some of them
I
start
always
to-
appreciate money.
If you go on Boxing Day, some of them started to sale already. Like, not Boxing Day, sorry, the day before Christmas. Some of them already
Yeah,
started.
actually,
haven't
aye,
they?
true.
I've done that before. I've gone the night before to the big shopping centre, and it's like freaking dead quiet because no one's going out. But all the
Yeah.
Boxing Day sales on. Run home and wrap all your fucking presents for.
You like the Boxing Day sales, don't you?
Yeah.
You usually go fucking buying shit, don't you? On Boxing
I
Day?
do buy things.
Christmas money,
But the
yeah.
thing is, I don't understand all these people that go out and buy all the Christmas presents like the night before. It's like, I'd be shitting myself thinking.
He does that.
Thinking just in case.
get any-
Mr.
that-
James Logan's all over that, aren't you, on Christmas
Yeah,
Day?
that
man,
you
like-
don't find something for someone and then you're trying to rush around and that.
See, I live so close to the Metro Centre, and that has everything I could possibly
Walking
need for
distance
anyone.
close?
Yeah.
So you don't have to take the car?
Nah.
Wow.
You must live there, do you?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's amazing. There's so
buy-
many shops.
So no
there.
wonder you are always having takeaways and meals because there's fucking loads of
Yeah,
restaurants.
exactly,
isn't there?
yeah. Fucking brilliant.
You're just as bad as me buying all your presents the night before then.
Yeah. Like, it's.
So you've got
No,
one
you're
day to
Christmas.
decide to get me like a bloody iPod or something. It's gonna be something like that, isn't it?
Hell, Craig, I don't think he
Fucking
likes
hell.
you that much. To be fair. I think
I know, it's like.
you're totally
I'd be more likely to get
over-exaggerating
something
this
off him.
friendship.
Yeah, that'd be decent this year.
I'll tell you what he'll do. The ultimate gesture. He'll pay you free entry into a swingers club.
Oh, well, that's alright.
Yeah, actually, maybe.
Wait,
I
is
do
he
keep
worth
saying I'll take
£40 there, James? Or?
£40? I wouldn't pay fucking £40. All that
Well,
actually
you go
add
after
around
him.
that
You
is,
give him half price. Give him 20 or something.
And couples are cheaper. I could say we're a couple.
I just to get in, then just fuck off. And go and so, Black Friday aside, what's everyone been up to? Then?
Oh, God.
I've been wrapping all my Christmas presents.
What I'm bought for cooking.
I've
Very
got
prepared.
everything. I've literally got everything that I've been wrapping. So
Oh, I need
yeah.
to go fucking shopping.
yeah, I'm all sorted.
Yes.
I'm prepared.
Over there.
Wow, what have you got me?
Fuck all.
No. Why am I here?
You
Why
got
am
me
I
anything?
here?
I do apologise. I'm just telling the dog off
This.
because it is live after all. So.
I haven't got
Bollocks.
any of these. Anything.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
what?
Oh, you always get me something.
Nothing.
What am I meant to get you, please?
She got us
Give
a
us
Marvel,
hint.
Marvel
Oh,
Encyclopedia last year, and it's up there.
Yeah,
Marvel
that's true.
You
Encyclopedia.
both get me and iPod together.
I
Oh,
see.
yeah, right.
He wants an iPod. I'd
Yeah.
accept a
Fuck
signed nude.
Yeah, Scarlet Grey.
Can you give me one of them with the iPod?
Yeah. Yeah, a signed nude for James that's like laminated.
The funny thing is, I
and
could
then
do
you can just
that,
take
but everything
a
could
photo
be
of it.
covered. I could be nude, but I could be laying in a position where you don't see anything peeking out.
Oh,
I reckon if he just saw some flesh, he'll be able to knock one out of him because he's a dirty
That'd be
fucker.
quite
I
funny.
know it's like.
You might only get to see like the shape of my ass or something.
just a silhouette of you.
Exactly.
And now you know why he's moving in. That was me. I've been trying to fuck you for 8 years. You know what I mean?
And you have not succeeded.
Oh, don't fucking put out for him, man, because I will be offended if I've waited 8 years to fuck you. And then you do
What if
it.
I did put out for him?
Well, then you can fuck off and don't come back when you visit the area or anything.
I might not tell you. We might have already done it.
Oh, see, that's just out of order, that. Because, like, honestly, I've
I've
tried my fucking heart out trying to fucking knob you. Do you know what I mean?
Not very successfully.
And James gets up the first
Even
day.
tried to get you drunk, and that doesn't fucking work.
I'm
either.
not saying no.
Don't incriminate yourself.
I still need
makes
somewhere
them
to live.
No, it makes them sound better as well, don't you think?
You just pretend you've done it just to annoy Paul, don't you?
Yeah.
I pretty much
every,
like.
every time you're not in it.
Yep, basically.
Stealing this woman.
Are you an independent webcam girl or an independent content producer? Even if you're an established brand looking to make sure you're purchasing the best performance to value for your business, check out salaciouscreations.com and let Dick take care of you. His knowledge of technology is from another galaxy.
Yeah, stop buying shit.
Coming up on today's show, we have a chat with Kitty Misfit, an adult performer who actually shot the first scene for us, didn't she, for Nerd Pervert? But she is going to be talking about something a little bit more serious because it's about mental health, right? Now, obviously, she's a sufferer herself, as you'll hear. But she particularly wants to talk about it based on the adult industry. We've been, obviously in the business. It's nice to be able to, talk about the point of view of that. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's like there does seem to be people who have got mental illnesses in the business. So she's like well equipped to speak about her experiences because obviously it's affected her for a while now.
Yeah.
So that is our interview for today, but it's actually quite interesting, even though it might be a bit more of a serious subject. And obviously we want to use this show to get across things like that as well as all the jokey bits.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, the fucking interviews are usually the serious parts anyway, really. Do you know what I mean? And other than that, we just fucking arse on, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
So we've also got more tips from Dick Salacious.
Woo!
Obviously honest and straightforward and straight to the point, useful information. So obviously get your fucking notepads out because it's gold all this. I mean, you've practically got your own adult business if you've listened to episode 1 up until now. Do you know what I mean? And all of it's decent stuff, like high quality stuff. You look like you've got a fucking suntan on there. It's fucking in the middle of winter.
Don't know what that's all about.
No, that might be off Matt Hardy or something. I'll take this off just in case it's irritating you, sorry.
Because if you could see us now, right, it sounds good. The audio is really good quality. It's a really good entertaining show, but we all fucking crammed on the couch and it's fucking boiling.
Yeah, it is really fucking hot.
Fucking hell, honestly.
It's been dead warm in here for like the last couple of weeks, man.
I know, hasn't it? No wonder the fucking camera's all
honestly,
here.
I'm not that hot.
From all the
Yeah, but
shagging that goes on.
you're fucking cold all the time, though. And also, we've got you doing the sex fact at the end of the show, haven't we?
Yes, I've already picked it out, thank you.
And have we
I'm
got
prepared.
a James Logan part at the end or not? Have you forgot? You forgot, have you?
No, I haven't.
Have you? Have you not?
Looking at me like I'm a dickhead.
I honestly thought I'd caught you out there.
It's a back.
Right, so we've got a James Logan sex product review or whatever. It could be anything. Could be anything. You could review DVDs.
I know, do you know what? I was thinking about I'll bring in the odd DVD because there is some fucking ridiculous DVDs.
What we can take the piss out of?
Yeah, aye, definitely.
Like, you haven't sold any, we're going to watch the ones that you haven't sold.
Yeah.
You're not going to put
Can't do
one
that.
on, are you?
I'm not saying anything.
Right.
Right, so I'll tell you what, we do actually, we've sold out of your volume 3. Like, I've been trying to get that in for ages, and it's like proper sold out.
Yeah, cool.
So, aye.
That is good.
The thing is, though, I think obviously every new show takes a bit to take off.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, volume 1 was the start, like introducing the characters. So by volume 3, you're hitting the ground running, aren't you?
Yeah,
so maybe that's why it's maybe sold, but I don't know. Fuck knows. I don't even know why I sell it all. I just don't fucking argue about it. I just keep doing it. Do you know what I mean?
Mail, motherfucker!
Right, so let's answer a few questions, shall we, from our mail section that obviously we've simply called Mail Motherfucker. Because it's a porn show and we can swear.
Do you know what I've just realised?
Huh?
You've not said coming in your ears this time.
Oh.
Oh, we've already come in the ears because we like fucking what, 15, 20 minutes in already?
Fair
so
enough.
I don't know. Who's counting? That's why we overrun. We don't know what fucking time it is. So we've got an email here from Andy Main who says, "Hi guys, love the show. I just want to know, is there any places to buy single episodes of Nerd Pervert? The official site is a members only site and there is only a few scenes I'd like to purchase." Why? Fucking hell, you've got 8 years worth.
No. Say the rest of
Oh no, I've overreacted there. He said to see if I actually like the content. Well, that's not much better, is it? as the trailers and the clips I have seen look awesome. Oh wait, you'll be right. But and you know, so he just says thanks, Andy. So I suppose I could plug nerdpervert.expose, which is part of the Agents of Porn section of sites or group of sites or whatever. It's got all of season 1 on there at the minute.
Oh wait, crank.
And you can buy single download episodes of it. So you could do that, Andy. We've also got our many vids page where we've got all of season 1 on there. So that's many vids /profile /688/139/dusk-films. That should be many vids /dusk films that they need to sort on that fucking thing out.
Yeah.
So you might have to replay that back, Andy. But we're on there, and also Gonzo Girls and Adult Work. We've got we're only starting to put them on there though. There's a few rentals on there. There's not loads. I've been a bit of a lazy ass, to be honest with you. But trust us, Andrew or Andy. You if you sign up to the site, you get access to 35 other sites. So you could be a member for 6 months and watch all 8 seasons. Trust us, you will like it. In fact, you'll regret it if you download, like, say, 7 episodes from season 1 on Nerd Pervert Exposed. Not that I'm trying to talk you out to join the site, but that's the price of a membership to download as much as you want. You know what I mean? So whatever. It's up to you, Andy. It's your money, mate. And we've got another one here from Danny Brand, who says, "Hi everyone. I watch you guys on YouTube from episode 2 onwards. Love the banter, it's great. I just wanted to know, when you guys are out partying, what is your favourite drink? What is your normal tipple?"
Oh, don't talk about alcohol.
Well, I don't even think I need to say it. But I'll tell you what, we'll start from you, Craig, and we'll work up. What's your favourite drink when you're out on the fucking Raz?
God, I just drink. I don't even care. I just drink anything that's the cheapest, and that's me. So probably Carlin or something. That's the cheapest one.
Fucking hate that stuff.
No, I don't care. They all taste the same to me. I just go for what is cheapest so I can get the most pints in.
Doesn't all taste the same. John Smith's is like the high.
Oh,
It's not my turn yet, but yeah. Carlin's shit.
Some taste a bit stronger and sharper, but no, I just like fucking.
Stella's a bit how much, isn't it?
I like Stella. I just can't drink.
I'm not the biggest fan of Stella.
You know what I thought you were going to say? I drink that in the head of steam. That's what I thought you were going to say.
No. Although I do love the head of steam, but no, like my favourite drink. Nah, I fucking hate cocktails. Fruity bastard. Nah, I like things like Peroni, Amstel, that kind of thing.
Cool.
Like a nice. Yeah, do you know what?
Amstel's nice, but Peroni's not really a beer, it's still a lager. Yeah, you know what annoys me, right? You've started something now, right? When you go into somewhere and you say, "Can I get you guys a drink before your meal?" "Oh yeah, please, what beer have you got?" And they name every fucking lager under the sun.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not a beer. The term, "Do you want to go out for a beer?" doesn't mean, "What you doing?" "I'm on a pint of Carlin." Well, fuck off, I asked you to come out for a beer. Like, obviously I realise people drink what they want, but when I say beer, I mean fucking draft. Right? Not bottled fucking Doom Bar. Get the fucking pump out. Do you know what I mean? And every fucking person in the restaurant doesn't know what beer is.
Yeah.
So like you saying you like beer, but at least in the head of steam you do get proper beer.
That is correct.
So Peroni's in the beer, so...
But you know what? I fucking love lager.
Do you?
Yeah.
Fucking lager.
I prefer lager. Like, I only ever have John Smith's when I'm slumming it with you. And even then, I'd prefer a Guinness.
I like Guinness. Like, I'll be fair.
He
I like
was slumming it last weekend. Oh,
you were fucking slumming it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's because you were buying the shots and doubles, and I got mortal. Yeah. My favourite drink is vodka Diet Coke.
Is it?
Yes.
No, it's boring. I thought you said something
See,
else.
I love my cider as well.
When we went to that fucking penthouse fucking suite for the X-Biz convention, remember we were on the skyscraper?
I had cocktails.
Yeah, you love them porn star martinis.
I
You and Devon
love
Breeze were fucking
cocktails
necking
as
them all
well.
night.
I'll happily drink cocktails as well.
Yeah.
But I do like my ciders. I like the strawberry and lime, like record lick and stuff like that. So I love my ciders as well.
Can you remember when I got drunk and I was taking the piss out of that guy who said he was going to be big in virtual reality porn? I was taking the piss out of me. We filmed that, didn't we?
I don't know, because my tongue was down Devon's throat. So.
Oh, you were fucking snogging all night.
Yeah.
Fucking snogging Devon, you know. Wouldn't let me stick my cock in between. Because that's what's horny about porn scenes, when two girls are kissing and then your dick just comes in the middle of them and they start licking up and down your dick.
That would be kind of good.
Do you know what I mean? But no, not in my fucking world.
I'm yet to experience that, I think, in porn.
But licking up and down.
Yeah, two. Oh, no, wait, hang on. I have had one. But not with you. You're going to have to get 2 girls in on Nerd Pervert for us.
Or else.
As long as you keep buying your rent in John Smith's,
Yeah, right, of course,
you've got a deal.
Mm.
See, that was a canny horny scene with Kitty Misfit and Millie together, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was a good one, like.
That would have been good.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
was good.
It was a good night out.
Aye, it was
Yeah, it
that.
was.
At least got invited to that, just not the scene.
Not the scene where I erupted over both of the faces. That was quite good, though. They were like fucking cheek to cheek, like looking up at us, you know what I mean?
Lucky
Look like this, they're like Siamese twins coming in spun. Fucking great. And I've got another email here, which is another embarrassing sex story. Right? Now, I'm not saying I'm going to keep this is the 3rd email,
Yeah.
but as they keep coming in, and there was a few more as well.
Alright.
So, what do you make of this then, right? So, hi guys, my name is Barry, and I wanted to tell you about an embarrassing sexual experience I had once. So, me and my friends went to this house party. Oh, it's not going to go on, is it? Just get the fucking point. There was this girl there I had scored with a few times on a night out. We did like each other, but I never found the courage to ask her out. We got talking at the party and the drinks were flowing and we were having a good time. Even my friends were telling me I was in that night. When I kept going to get me and her a drink, they just kept saying she really likes you, blah blah blah. Got to 12 midnight and we were both a little drunk. I was coming out of the bathroom when she was waiting to use it and she started kissing me. She needed to use the bathroom, so I told her to meet me in the bedroom. We kissed for a little, then we started to get really hot and started getting it on in bed. I could tell she was nervous, so I told her to let me know if she was uncomfortable and I would stop. She assured me that it was okay and to keep going. Oh, I think he's getting to it now, Gio.
Yeah.
We have sex for a little while and she starts bleeding. I noticed first but didn't make a big deal out of it since it's happened to me before. She was mortified. She went to use the shower and I told her she was more than welcome to spend the night if she liked. She refused, so I had to call a cab to take her home. We texted a few times after, but we never hung out again. I found out a few weeks later that this was her first time having sex since high school, which certainly explains why she was so upset. Was that embarrassing or not? That's the end.
That wasn't
Nah,
embarrassing.
I wouldn't really say. I mean,
That was a sad story.
yeah.
Nobody got to break her in, the lucky bastard. I haven't done that.
No, wait, but I
up,
thought
that
at the
sounds
end
awful.
it said that was
Yeah.
the first time
Since high-
she had sex since
That
high
sounds
school.
like the first time
So-
since
So
the
just
first
heal
time.
back up again.
Yeah, so surely, like, she would have already been brought in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what if it was a smaller dick that broke her in and then his was a big dick?
Maybe he's...
Yeah, but the
Tore
thing
it.
is, don't you
Yeah.
think the hymen, once it's torn, it would just like disintegrate and leave? It's
Wasn't you?
not going to make like a
Break her in,
little
you split up the
hole
cars.
Just like
and then leave the rest there, is it?
Nah.
Yeah, I suppose
Unless your
not.
dick's like fucking tiny.
Well, if your dick was tiny, he wouldn't have made a blade, would he?
True.
Unless you go properly.
Been like fucking him with his little finger.
Yeah,
I was just thinking she was gonna get
that story,
Balls, wasn't it?
it was a bit shite, yeah.
Cool.
Sorry, Barry, but that wasn't really an embarrassing story.
No.
Sorry.
I had those more embarrassing days at work.
Yeah, probably.
Hey guys, I'm Paul Taylor, your everyday nerd. I'm here to tell you about my reality show. I like reading comic books, hanging out with mates, and going to the local pub. But I chat to girls and convince them to get naked and do casting videos for a job that doesn't exist. My camera lady Scarlett Grey just goes along with it to get paid. So go to nerdpervert.com and watch all 8 seasons now. Nerdpervert.com, your very own Nerdflix. So, what has been going on in the adult industry? Well, right, Netflix has just released a new webcam porn thriller called Cam. That's just dropped, so it's like a movie made for Netflix. It's written by former cam girl Isra Mizeli, or whatever you call her, and she says there's a authenticity throughout Cam that means it works both as a gripping thriller and a fascinating look at the lives of cam girls. This extends to the fact that the director, Daniel Gorhamber, is co-writer, and they really built their own campsite for the movie so the actors could interact with it. Effectively adds to the tension as the real-time scenes of Alice Sessions play out. Alice's Sessions goes to some dark places as she attempts to block a fake user. They start to comment that they want her to bleed, building up to a shocking fake suicide by Alice. What the fuck? It would work as its own brilliant short movie, but Cam is only getting just warmed up. The stark opening showcases the length of Alice and what she goes to in order to increase her popularity and break into the top 10 on Free Girls Live, all while not breaking her free rules. I don't do public shows, I don't tell my guys I love them, and I don't fake my orgasms. The quest for popularity leads her to a joint show with Fox, and it's the day after when things go weird. Alice finds herself unable to log into her account, but to her followers it looks like she's been online and she's started to break her own rules. Alice can't resist interacting with her doppelganger, and as she attempts to uncover the mystery, her life unravels as her digital persona creates real-life consequences to her. Powering it as an all-fantastic star performance in a dual role, Madeleine Brewer excels at whatever the filmmaker puts her through, captivating as both the confident on-screen cam girl and the fake Alice who takes over. And as the obsessive real Alice is a full throttle performance, and Brewer ensures that Alice is someone you can truly relate to and root for. Alice might be looking for popularity within the world of webcam porn, but her struggle could easily be related to Instagram likes on a new post or followers on Twitter. And we've all been there. Social media is a popularity contest, and it just basically says that it's on Netflix now and must see. So that sounds like sounds a bit like, what was that film? You watched it? No, the webcam thing. When he's trying to look after find his daughter and shit.
Search or something. That one.
Has that came out yet?
Yeah, well, it hasn't, but I've seen it.
Right.
But anyway, it was alright actually. It was quite suspenseful and
I really wanted to watch that.
It was very unique at how it was all done through either old videos explained in the past or a webcam. Yeah, it was actually quite well done.
Because it was Harold out of Harold and Kumar, wasn't it?
Yeah. He actually plays a good straight role, actually.
Yeah.
So that sounds like this, how it's going to be suspenseful and a bit of
I mean,
mystery.
I'll watch that as long as there's some kind of nudity in it.
Well, it says it's a thriller, so it's going to have to be at least an 18.
I mean, you'd think so.
Wait, a webcam girl.
A webcam girl
not
thing,
getting
like
the tits
surely,
out. That's
exactly.
Well, you said it's an authentic one, so
there we go.
So we'll find out, won't we?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I'll watch it. Probably watch it tomorrow at work.
Yeah, stick it on your fucking big iPad there. You know what I mean?
I got through the entire second season of The Sinner the other day.
Did you? Fucking hell, you're really hard working, you. And I said to him, I texted him earlier on, I said, I've been at it since 7 o'clock editing, right? And I broke at 10:30 and watched a bit of fucking YouTube and I skived a bit and then went back up. But I'd still done a good 4 or 5 hours. And he was like, I'm just getting up when I text you at 9 o'clock. And I was like, you fucking bastard.
Best way to live, man.
Right, so I just want to take this opportunity to tell you about itsadult.com, a one-stop shop for the adult industry. Networking, events, news, interviews, podcasts, a message forum. You can sell clips, you can phone, text or chat from your profile. Itsadult.com is the directory for the adult business, and fans are welcome too, so why don't you sign up, because your profile's free and you can see loads of tit hairs.
Tit hairs.
Right. Technology time, I think.
Well, I'll get in.
I think we need to hear from the words of the wise. That is Dick Salacious.
Yep.
Welcome to Dick's Tips from salaciouscreations.com. I was going to say proudly sponsored by Selena Secret, but he really does know his shit. You'll see.
Right. I'll tell you what, right, we've had emails on the last week's show with this next guy's technology tips, and they tested the water by buying one of those little form factor PCs, and it worked out so well. One of our listeners wrote in and said that he bought another one and he's got 2, and he's using one as a render box and one as a main computer. So fucking shit quality technology advice like that must only come from one person, and that person is Dick Salacious at Salacious Creations. Are you there, Dick?
Yeah, I'm here, buddy. Fucking Friday night and you're making me fucking do this shit.
I told you I'm a fucking slave driver, man. But what do you think of that, though? One of our listeners, like, testing the water, buying one, which is probably the right thing to do, and then getting another one, like, literally 3 weeks later because they were fucking buzzing.
Well, that's it, isn't it? that's it. It was a thought out process that we've done all these podcasts on, and I'm glad somebody's actually got some benefit of it. I know a couple of girls have actually bought those machines just now. One of the things they've all commented on is how fast it renders out their clips.
Yeah.
Whereas before they were waiting an hour for a 15-minute clip, they're now doing 15-minute clips in 15 minutes.
But was these girls taking the full advice, and did they get themselves a graphics card, or was that using the onboard graphics? Because that can work quite well as well, depending on how complex their projects are.
Yeah, obviously the girls I'm talking about are only using open shot. That's the one. Sorry, it's been a while since I've used that, people. But no, that's no GPU dependent. That's not a graphics card dependent one like what we're using. Whereas we're using video editors that can obviously make use of a graphics card for extra oomph in our rendering time. They're obviously starting off at a lower level to test the waters. The whole point of the podcast is to give people steps and an upgrade path. So I'm glad that they've made the first step and they are seeing the benefits. They have commented about how much faster everything's getting done for them is now. So it is having a positive benefit, but obviously not enough people are listening to us.
Right, well, something's just dawned on me, right? That obviously you've given them like good technology for a decent price. You've given them advice on video editing. You've given them advice on sound. You've given them advice on storage, and you give them advice on lighting. But what about one thing we haven't covered is cameras, which is a vast subject to cover. But maybe as if me and you talk about own experiences and why we use totally different types of cameras, and maybe see whether we can get people to sort of look at upping the budget a little bit on certain cameras without using just, like the cheap little things, because, you've started somewhere now, but you've got all of Dick's advice, and now it's time to up your game production-wise by possibly getting a better sensor and a better lens.
Yeah, definitely. I think where you'd always start off with a camera is if you do go to a higher end camera, like a DSLR, because you can pick those up for £300-400 now. Perfectly capable of filming 1080p, 30 frames a second, smooth footage. You get stabilization in the lens. You got a bit of optical zoom. However, the first rule I'd say to anybody buying a camera is you're not buying a brand, you're buying a lens system.
Yeah, the body is fuck all, isn't it, compared to the glass that you put on it.
So basically, if I buy Nikon, then I have a whole upgrade path through Nikon because all of their lenses are interchangeable until I reach the very, very high end. And then I'd have to start again with my lens collection. So what I'd say is yes, you'll get an 18 to 55 millimeter lens on it. It obviously has a bit of zoom. It has autofocus on it. And it's actually motors powering these things. But any DSLR you buy or high-end stuff, it's going to be the lens system that you're buying into. So don't just look at the price of the camera, also look at the price of the lenses, because you're going to be sticking with those lenses as long as you possibly can. It's a bit like the iPhone versus Android. iPhone users don't want to move over to Android because they spent $4,000 on apps.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how the cameras will work as well at the higher end, okay? And I'm not telling anybody here to go out and buy a red camera system unless they got like £250,000 to spare.
And even then, it's porn. It's probably you're not going to be thanked for it, eh? No one's going to really notice.
No, nobody's going to notice by the time the site's compression algorithms are kicked in to make it a viable product. But yeah, you might see people on YouTube now shooting with full Hollywood quality cameras, but for porn, we don't need that sort of level, do we?
Mind saying that, though, you're talking about DSLRs and stuff, though, and you've mentioned HD, and a lot of people are probably saying, well, hang on a minute, if we're getting all this like shit out advice, what about the 4K? But I will stress, and even I'm thinking about going back to HD with my latest setup, which I'll explain later on in this conversation, but 4K isn't mainstream enough yet that you don't have to worry about it. You could have, I would say, at least 3 years of content that you sold and made money on to then upgrade your equipment should 4K be mainstream. Then you don't have to rush into 4K, do you?
No, I think 1080p is a nice medium at the moment. Believe it or not, I know Netflix is the exception to the rule. Netflix has, millions of pounds to put into their codecs and stuff like that. So obviously they have a very good codec that can stream 1080p on a 1 meg connection.
I wonder if that's patented into them, though, because without knowing what they do or how they save the files and what the bit rate is and what the codec is, I wonder if that's their, secret, because no no video editing software there are of has adapted that to a decent file size yet, and you can stream it quite easy on a 16 meg connection and it's 4K video.
Yeah, exactly. So to put that into some sort of perspective for everybody, is there's a reason that cam girls use 720p. The high-end cam girls use 720p for a very good reason.
Yeah.
Is because if you go any higher than that, you're eliminating your mobile phone market, your tablet market, because obviously people's mobile data can't sustain a solid connection at those sort of bit rates. They don't have network optimization because the sites that they work on don't have optimization. So 720p is still very valid in this day and age. For example, adult work. If you upload a rental, it's in 720p. It might tell you can upload an unlimited bit-rated video, but you can't because obviously their server will reject it because it's too hard for it to work. I'm not going to give away the bitrate settings because that's like trade secrets now.
Yeah.
You can pay me to freaking re-render your videos if you want to have experience of that. But no, it is very much a case of 720p is still very valid. So putting all your content into 1080p gives you a little bit of future proofing because streaming online at the moment is kind of locked to 720p. It's like YouTube, it'll default to 720p typically. You've even got people on YouTube using 360p.
Yeah.
You know, they're the hardcore ones. They're the purists.
Yeah. But I think your point is though that the world is not ready for 4K online in terms of on demand. No. Netflix doesn't count because they're only one company, and that's not enough to make it mainstream. And the thing is, until, like you say, tablets and phones can stream 4K, it's never going to take off. I mean, I'm a very, very early adopter of it, but I do it more for the crop factor in editing because you can get, oh, I wish that was a tighter shot on that girl's face. Oh, hang on a minute. I've got 4K video on a 1080p timeline, and it looks fine. You get no, loss of sharpness, no pixelation or anything. So for that, for a 1080p editor, shooting in 4K can give you a lot of scope to make it look like you had another camera with a different, vantage point.
Yeah, definitely. And I've noticed a lot of vloggers these days are changing back to 1080p as well.
Because it's taking them too long to upload it.
Yeah. What's the point in having a 90 gigabyte file when a 720p file of the same video would only be 200 meg?
But see, that says to me that until they find a codec that'll compress it down, it's all about compression. It's all about the smallest file size possible without changing and affecting the resolution and the sharpness of the 4K or the HD. Now, we've got HD sussed, but how long has HD been out now? 15, 17 years?
Yeah. And one thing that we always default to is on a codec wise, when we're filming and when we're rendering, is the H.264 codec.
Well, Adobe has got a H.265, which is 4K, but there's a lot of work to do on it yet because it's still far too big as a file size. I mean, I can render out a Nerd Pervert episode, very, very high quality, high bitrate in 1080p, and a 20 to 30 minute scene can be over nearly 3 gig, right? So that's a big file. So 4K could be 16 to 20 gig.
Yeah, because it's 4 times the size of 1080p.
And that's where the codecs just aren't ready for it yet.
Yeah, because it's all very well a photographer telling you we're going to film you in 4K. Well, whoop-de-fucking do.
Yeah, sure.
What are you going to do with that?
Show the shaving mash up even more to me fans on me pussy.
Yeah, you look like a fucking plucked raw chicken. That's the sort of level of detail that those cameras can capture.
Yeah.
One of my biggest beefs when 1080p came out was women's hair. Even newscasters, where there's no wind, always look like they haven't brushed their hair because you can pick out all the individual hairs on top of their head. And that's only 1080p. So 4K, which is what? It's 3864 in it, P, something like that?
3840, I think.
Yeah, so it's a hell of a lot of pixels to be on the screen. But it's also a lot for you to edit as well. So if you are just getting in, I think 1080p is the good place to get in at. As long as your camera can do a smooth 30 frames a second, but the main thing is it does 30p, not 30i.
Yeah.
Now, there's 2 differences on the standards for filming, okay? Now, P is progressive, which gives us these very nice pictures that we all see now. and there's I, which is interlaced, which is how the old TVs used to work, where it's a series of 2 diagonal lines going opposite ways to create a picture. And if you've actually seen how fast those lines move, the slow-mo guys on YouTube, shouting them out now, they actually filmed the CRT screen in how many lines it was, and they had to slow it all the way down to a billionth of a second, something like that, where you can actually see the lines going across the screen 2 ways. So always make sure it's in P, in not I, because obviously everybody has P-rated panels these days, and obviously I can possibly cause you like squiggly lines on moving objects.
And it will make you sick if you watch it.
Yeah. And it's a nightmare to fix. The way you cure those lines is by having top quality lighting, which we have covered before. So where would we say would be a good starter camera for somebody who's gone through, say, filming on a webcam and they want to make a little bit of investment now? So where would we say that would be a good, nice point to start at?
Like a Canon 80D or something, you can get them for about 150 to 200 pound now, and you can still get as expensive lenses or whatever lens you want, should you want to keep upgrading, because every time you get a new lens it feels like you've got a new camera. I mean you know that now. You've been playing all day, haven't you?
Oh, it's been a freaking nightmare today. It's like I got a Nikon D5500, right? Now I paid about £400 for that about 3 years ago. I've just upgraded to the new Nikon lens standard now for faster zoom, focus, that type of thing, and it's all silent. So I had to actually upgrade the software inside my camera to make my camera compatible with that jump in technology. Now, is that a bit too much? But no, because obviously I'm using my camera quite a lot these days. So if you are just starting out filming yourself, obviously you're going to want a tripod. That's no ifs and buts. You need a tripod. But if they're doing Canon cameras down in the D ranges, and you can get them for about £100, they will be mirrored cameras in the DSLR range, but it is going to give you a superior image quality, because any lower than that, I mean, bridge cameras might be a good way to start as well.
To be honest with you, mate, I'm classed as what the industry would probably say a professional, even though I don't feel like it sometimes. And I've always used bridge cameras. Like, you know, you finally give in to the beauty of autofocus, right? And I think it's a stigma with so-called pros who say, I don't want the camera thinking for me. I want to do it all. And it's like, fair enough. If you're fast at turning that focus ring so you don't miss the focus point and go back into a blurry shot, shake my hand, because you are an exceptional cameraman and they are out there. However, I've took no shame in picking a camera that's got a fast autofocus. That's one of the main things I used to look at. And I got a bridge camera for the simple reason it was a RX10 Mark II. And the reason why I got it was because it was the lens I would actually come with, and the zoom range on it, and the actual quite ratio on it in terms of how wide it was, without having to change the lens, really stood out to me, and I knew I didn't need anything other than that. And you still got the blurry background because the sensor was good enough.
Yeah.
So you could do that. You could start with a bridge camera. I was using the one professionally, and I never moved away from it.
Oh, they some of those bridge cameras now cost more than full-on DSLR.
Well, the latest model to my RX10 Mark II is the Mark IV, and it's £2,800.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a bridge camera.
If you haven't got a clue what we're talking about at the moment, a bridge camera is the hybrid of a compact camera that you're probably used to taking on your holidays with you, and a DSLR. It has a manual mode on there, and it allows you to do a little bit more artistic photography, but it has a really good built-in optical zoom lens.
Well, you can basically do all the manual settings that you can on a professional DSLR, but it's also aimed at the novice market, where the auto settings can do for you as well, and it's a personal choice. Most autofocus-based cameras don't give you much manual settings, but a good bridge camera gives you the best of both worlds, and you don't have to keep spending money on lenses.
Yeah, as you probably gathered by now, I've invested in Nokia. He's invested in Sony.
Yeah.
As you said, you're investing in a system. You're not investing in one single camera. You're investing in all your future cameras as well, because all the lenses will fit all the other cameras and so on and so forth until you reach a certain point.
But having said that, though, you know, I've moved away from the DSLR style cameras, and I'm back. Well, I moved back to camcorders because I just prefer them, and then I've moved to action cameras, but it's all in the Sony line, so I can color grade my camcorder and copy and paste the color grading settings on the action camera, which has got the same size sensor, and it matches perfectly because they're both Sony cameras. How the footage comes off the camera, it interprets the colours identically because it's Sony and they all do the same thing. So like you say, I'm buying into that to make my life easier, and that's just my chosen brand. However, like I said to you the other day with the action camera, I can tell the difference. On its own, it's an amazing 4K camera and you can't believe it's an action camera. But if you've got a shot that switches from camcorder to action camera in the same timeline, it loses a little bit of its sharpness. Which is why I'm contemplating going back to HD, because you don't have as wide a shot, and I don't think you're going to notice the switch from 4K down to HD because the sharpness isn't there in the 4K unless you're out in broad daylight.
Yeah, exactly. Because again, we've touched upon this before. It's all about your lighting. If you have you can have too much light, but having a room full of light is very beneficial. It'll also help your frame rate. So if you are getting the slightly juddery effects when you're filming yourself, you need to improve your lighting and get more light in the room, and that should hopefully smooth up the frame rate. Okay.
So what do you think of my setup at the minute? Because obviously this is like, well, I would say basic for you, but you know what I'm going to do with the footage as a competent editor. That's the difference, because you know how I work. But what do you think of it? Like when I showed you that footage, apart from it being mega wide, what was your first impressions of it? Could you tell that came from an action camera?
You'd never in a million years have thought that come out of an action camera. I have to admit that, right? And yes, I might be using a DSLR on full whack settings, but I gotta admit, the one thing I liked on it is, whereas you just said it might be wide as fuck, but that was one thing I really loved about it.
Yeah.
It creates the whole vlog style a lot more, because obviously it's showing off the background in that type of thing. It creates an atmosphere inside it.
But you know what I'm going for, though. I'm a professional studio who's deliberately downgraded his equipment, because I've got the better equipment. I've still got it. I've done it for a stylized look. It's on purpose. Where I think that the DSLR things made Nerd Pervert, like certainly season 6 and 7, look a little bit too polished for what the brand's supposed to be. But you don't notice yourself as a creator because you get better, so you want to show that you're getting better to your audience. And my American partners taught us to rein myself in. They were just like, Paul, go back and watch the early episodes. You've lost your way a little bit. This isn't believable now that this guy's picked a camera up and he's really filming his life.
It's all about that blurry background.
Well, according to some people it is, but I've never missed it, like, you know what I mean? I must admit, I've never missed it. But going back to what you were saying, if you do go a decent budget DSLR camera and you learn to use it and you do get the blurry background, that is going to make you, as a new content producer, light years ahead of the other people who haven't invested in themselves, because you get that cinematic look. And if you've got a cinematic look, people just assume this person knows what they do and this person makes good stuff, and it'll get you sales.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it's about, really. It's about, for any of us, it's about the high quality stuff. And we can rinse and repeat, and always produce high quality stuff. I think that's a big difference. There's no point if you do one shoot and your stuff's high quality, then you shoot another model and your stuff's low quality, because that's not having your shit together to the point that you can constantly repeat your output. You see, and I find that's quite a lot. You might have one good video with it recording it yourself. The next video might be bad because it would have been better with a cameraman. Now, if you are filming it yourself, how are you going to do the close-up shots? I'll get a remote control webcam. Well, great. Some webcams do 4K, but they're going to get very, very hot and they're going to start juddering after a certain point. However, a 4K webcam is going to do very, very high quality 1080p.
Well, speaking of overheating, that's my problem. That's one of the reasons why I'm going to possibly move back down to HD. It's not just the overheating choice. It's like I've said, I don't think you're going to notice the drop in sharpness, because it is still an action camera. But it overheated really bad on my last shoot where I was piecing things together. We still pulled it off and the day went great, but you can do without that stress. But you think about it, I'm pushing an action camera to be a main camera that's supposed to only shoot clips, so it doesn't matter if I can get 50 minutes out of it. It's a plastic body with a sensor that's in a camcorder, full-size camcorder, in an action camera. But trust Sony to try and outdo every action camera on the market, and they've succeeded with it. Yes, it doesn't auto voice record when you tell it to record. No, it hasn't got a fancy menu. All I need is the best possible video quality, and I'll handle the rest when I get it into my timeline.
Yeah, too right. It's about what you need. It's about, that's it. Even though you've got that gear, you're still benefited from having that gear.
Yeah.
Because obviously, say like when you visit and that, when we take you out, you can take your camera with you. You can actually do some proper photos and some of the beauty spots and that.
Yeah.
For example, so you still get the enjoyment out of the equipment that you got. However, it's not needed at that end, because obviously, as soon as you start having blurry backgrounds and everything, and you're starting to do all the focus tricks and all that. Obviously, you're starting to get more and more high end all the time. And before you know it, you're filming Brazzers quality, and you're in your bedroom.
But the thing is, I've still got the high quality equipment. So should I do something out of my main, most successful brand, which is Nerd Pervert, I could then shoot more professionally style on a totally different project, and I probably will want to do that. It's Nerd Pervert. You've got to rein in to make it look believable that someone's actually just picked up a camera and pointed it at himself. That's on purpose, but I've still got the high quality equipment. Should I want to do a one-off movie for, say, a DVD release, I can do it, and I can have the blurry backgrounds back, just like that. I'm not getting rid of the equipment. I've still got it, but it doesn't serve the purpose and the look that I'm going for in this point in time.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the point I've been trying to make on this is don't buy equipment that you're not going to use. So yes, you can buy one of those little compact cameras and it can do 1080p recording. It does 30 frames a second, okay? You might even have great color ranges. However, a teeny tiny camera in your hand is not going to look very good when you've got other people coming along.
Well, the difference is I'm a professional, so I know what I'm doing with a teeny tiny camera, and I know the reasons why I'm using it. But don't start out using something like that, because again, I can get away with purposely making my stuff look a little bit more touchable because that's the look I can get away with because I'm established. But if I started out using that, I would have been laughed out the business.
Yeah. And what I was just trying to get across there is I was more on about like those cool pics, those small cameras that people take on holiday with them with the zoom lens.
Sony do it's called a premium pocket camera, and it's basically got a 1-inch sensor in it, and it shoots in 4K, but it overheats, and the last 4 models have overheated. I can't believe Sony haven't sorted that out. But the 1080p that you've got, the onboard sound's not great, but I'm telling you now, if you shot with the top model A7R3, I think it is, which is a £3,000 camera, that's without the lenses, right?
Yeah.
And you shoot with this as a Roll B camera, you can't tell the difference. It's that good, but it's a pocket camera that's £1,700.
Yes.
And what you're saying is you can invest in, video mics and stuff like that. So you can't use a camera with crap onboard sound because that's not going to make you stand out. That's why you need a decent DSLR.
Yeah. I think a bridge camera would be the very minimum you should get in at.
Yeah.
Especially because of that zoom lens. Now, I'm not saying go in buying a Nokia P1000 that's got that 3000mm zoom lens on it.
Yep.
That's that one that you've seen in the adverts where they can zoom all the way into the surface of the moon and start taking pictures.
Fucking hell. I bet you can see the fucking flag, can you?
Probably, but if you think about it, if you're shooting porn with one of them, I think you're going to go to prison for the type of porn that you're shooting, because chances are you're going to be a long way from the subjects. They don't know you're filming them, and you're probably hiding in a bush.
Yep. Exactly. And if you are, if that's going to be your niche, just make sure you've got the consent forms.
Yeah, make sure you've always got the fucking consent forms and 2 forms of government ID.
Definitely.
But yeah, so this is it. It swings and roundabouts. So obviously, please read the reviews. We're not saying now go out and spend hundreds of pounds on a camera. Obviously, with a bridge camera, I think that's a nice balance for you to have a little bit more scope in your pictures, because that can do a blurry background. A bridge camera can. But if you are going to buy less than a bridge camera, try and buy the most expensive, what you can afford, okay? Even if you've got to go second hand, find something with good reviews, but you also need to Google filming, okay? Now, 9 times out of 10, you can pick any camera in the world. You can go on YouTube, type that in, and put filming with it. and somebody somewhere is going to film something with it. However, take note of the lighting that they're using. Are they only filming outside? Are they filming inside? How much light did they actually have? Okay, because obviously that's going to determine if I was going to buy something at that range. Obviously, knock yourself out if you've got the money. We always say, if you've got the money, knock yourself out. You know, you can go for a Sony A7 III if you want.
Well, you can't, even if you've got the money. I don't think it's about that. I think it's about coming in at a basic level, because getting the A7R3 would be very, very overwhelming for someone who doesn't know fuck all about cameras. And I think the simpler your entry level is, the more you get used to the menus and what the buttons do and what the features and the functions do. And once you can do shutter speed and ISO on a bridge camera, you can do it on a high-end one, should you ever get to that level.
Yes, definitely, because the bridge camera is there to really teach you the transference from an automatic camera all the way over then to a DSLR camera. So by learning on a bridge camera will help you pick up the more advanced features of a DSLR camera.
Yeah.
However, an entry-level DSLR camera will again be better than an entry-level bridge camera.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So if you could just pick a camera, what would you like to pick?
Well, I always speak from experience, so I would get the Sony RX10. I would say the Mark II or the Mark III, just because they're the older models, so they'd be more affordable. So I've seen the Mark II that I've got available for, I think it was like 750 quid, but that's brand new, so you might be able to get it second hand. Now, I wish I did have the Mark IV, and I might still get it, because what Sony have done is, every time their top level cameras... Bloody hell, that's my fucking Toy Story toy going off. So basically what Sony do is, they get the latest autofocus pixel technology in their high-end ones, and then once a better one comes out, they drop that technology into the lower level cameras. It's something I think is brilliant about the company. So for the latest model of my camera, you've got the super fast autofocus that was in the R7 series 2 years ago, which is still fucking mental for a bridge camera. However, that's nearly £2,000 because you're paying for that. It's got so many autofocus points on the lens. It's basically ultra fast, but for the first time ever, Sony's actually made a touchscreen slightly. Sony's menus on the cameras are never touchscreen, but what this does is it lets you touch the screen to override the autofocus as fast as lightning, where you've pointed on the screen and it'll focus in on that subject.
Yeah.
So you're getting something from what used to be a £3,000 camera in a £2,000 bridge camera. That is, and then when say the A7 Mark IV comes out eventually, that technology from the A3 will drop down into a bridge camera. So they recycle the technology. You can't get it at the price point when it's their latest autofocus technology, but it drops down the line, which I think is excellent.
Yeah, it's like James on the podcast just bought himself an M50 Canon.
Yeah, see, I haven't had a chance to speak to him about this yet. I'm going to have to give him a ring, because the reviews for everything good that it does is all in 1080p, and in the 4K it doesn't do it. So the optical balance stabilization's crap in 4K, and it really fucking crops in.
Yeah, because that's basically a mirrorless camera. So DSLRs now, in the old days, they used to only have so many clicks, and then they've taken the mirror out of them now, so they can do all the DSLR quality, only they don't wear out anymore, the latest models.
Yeah.
Now, for my upgrade path, that's going to cost me I think it's about $2,500 for Nikon's first one, the Z series.
Fucking hell.
I'm not going that far. I'd rather have a camera that burnt out every few years, and just keep going. But if I was going to start now, and obviously it was going to be my first camera, I think I'd probably go down at the Nikon D3000 range. I wouldn't go all the way down to the D3000, maybe the 3400 where you can film.
Yeah.
Okay. The reason why I picked that is because there's an entire Milky Way of Nikon lenses to go all the way back to when Nikon first made DSLR cameras.
Well, one thing you've got to remember is you go below the 300, there's no microphone jack either, so you're stuck with the onboard sound. So just 3,000 and above gets you extra special
the 3000 itself, the D3000 itself, you can't actually record video on, believe it or not.
Oh dear.
So you got to, I think it's the 3200 upwards is the ones that you can actually record video on. But the main advantage of that, I think, for a beginner, okay, is yes, it's better than normal. It's annoying when you first got it because it's got tutorial modes on every new setting you select. A tutorial mode to use that setting will pop up on the screen.
Yeah.
That would drive me fucking insane. I got to admit. But however, I can buy any lens that Nikon made all the way back to like the 50s and 60s, second hand for like 10 quid on eBay. It might be a completely manual lens, but I can buy some really nice quality lenses very, very cheap for it. Because as any photographer will tell you, it's about the glass that lasts.
Yep.
So there's not going to be anything wrong with a 30-year-old lens if it still works in a modern day camera, because they've maintained that standard of lens all the way through their history. I'm not sure whether Canon's done the same, because they always say the problem with Canon is cheap bodies but expensive lenses.
Canon also seems to have an unusual skin tone. A lot of people complain about the fact that it seems to be like when mobile phones auto smooth and sharpen pictures after you've taken the picture, and you can't stop it. It's built into the software. A lot of people are complaining that Canon's the mobile phone video format.
Oh, no.
So everyone's got no wrinkles, even if you're fucking 85.
Yeah, that's not bad, actually. I could live with that if I was 85. I have to admit.
Yeah, but if you're 85, you can't even read the fucking logo on the camera, so you don't know what the fuck you bought, do you?
Yeah, I pressed this one, do you?
Yeah.
But no. So obviously Nikon, Canon, Panasonic Lumixes are good as well.
Well, I used to have a Panasonic Lumix G7.
Yeah.
And it was one of the lightest. It was made of plastic, but it was a fucking good camera. It was a Micro Four Thirds camera. But I sold it because the autofocus was fucking ridiculous. Now, I could have gotten a better lens with built-in autofocus and image stabilization on the lens, but you were looking at £700 to £800, which is like nearly double what the camera's worth, because it was a very, very good entry-level one. It had touchscreen. One thing about Panasonic cameras, the menus are brilliant. It's probably the best menu I've ever seen in a camera, and they're all the same. They're all very, very intuitive, and the touchscreen, something that Sony refuses to do. Everything's manual dials and stuff like that. But yeah, I got rid of it just because I was put off by the autofocus being so bad. The kit lens wasn't bad, actually, but I just felt like, no, it was too... I didn't want to risk spending the money and then the lens still not working well with the camera, which can sometimes happen, because companies can sell you things all the time and say they do things and they don't do it well, but they're not going to go, the latest GH7 Lumix camera with an alright lens sometimes. You know, they're not going to do that. And it's a lot of money to find out that you've made a mistake. And the problem is, one thing that I will say about every manufacturer, if you buy them from eBay, you've got 15 days to return it. You sometimes can't learn a camera in 15 days, so you don't even know if you want it. That's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, take a couple of days off work and actually plan a load of projects around your house. Doesn't have to be porn-based. For example, if you have a window where the daylight comes through, just tape up a white piece of paper, put a flower in front of it, and test the autofocus, because that's a cheap way of making a light box for yourself.
Yeah, you don't have to test out any porn filming with it, but like if you are one of those guys who can suck your own dick, you might as well do a clip of that and try and sell it, and then you're selling a clip and you've tested the autofocus on the camera.
You got me curious now. What the hell James is going to film for his first thing?
Oh fuck knows. Well, he definitely he's got a little bit of a beer belly like me, so he definitely won't be able to suck his dick. Unless he's...
Oh, he's not one of those ones that can go around the other way, is it?
No. And the thing is, and we don't. If you can't suck your own dick, we don't want anybody getting any ribs removed just for the sake of being able to do it, so you can test your autofocus. We're not saying go to those lengths. Like Dick says, you can film a flower, and then you don't need surgery.
No, I mean, capture the details of that flower. Now we're back onto something like that. So just keep it nice and simple. For example, all the time lapses is just a series of photos stitched together and sped up to a frame rate where it looks smooth.
Yeah.
Now, you can do those sort of photography projects quite easy yourself. But while you're doing it, you're learning about how the shadow works, how the color definition works. And it's just nice and easy and simple to do.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got a lot of beams coming in to your living room, for example, you've got a dog, just get your dog to lay down in the sun, alter the settings on the camera so the light coming in is actually predominant in the photo. And that's actually not that hard to do. You only have to alter a few settings, and then it's like it'll create the light beams coming down in there, make it a nice black and white photo. Never ever film in black and white or take photos in black and white either, because you can always take the color out, but you can't put the color back in.
Yeah, and if the saturation, the contrast, and everything, and even the ISO, if it's wrong, it's wrong, and you can't tell when it's in black and white because you're seeing that through your viewfinder as well.
Yeah, exactly. And if you are going to be using a DSLR, two key things to look for, okay, that I found I couldn't live without, I should say. One's the flippy screen.
Sony don't do that, so yes, if you want to no, seriously, if you want to flip the screen, do not buy Sony.
Yeah, I think the flippy screen is very important because filming stuff, because I don't perform, I'll make that clear to everybody, all I do is film stuff. So having a screen that I can actually rotate, I'm always looking down into the screen, because I don't actually look up and look at you. All I am doing is focusing on the framing and making sure that everything's sharp, high resolution, the colors are okay.
That makes a good cameraman, because if you easily get distracted and you're looking at the tits like that from over your camera, you could be filming your fucking trainers, and you haven't realised.
Exactly. That's it, isn't it? It's I've been asked a few times, like, oh, what did I think of that? Well, I don't know, because I was too busy looking at the viewfinder, making sure everything was in focus. You could see the eyes, you could see the color of the eyes. Yeah, I get quite. I like to actually show off.
Did I use too much spit when I was gagging on a dick? It was like, I don't know, love. I was just trying to get everything in shot, and I was framing your face, his dick, and his face in the background all in one shot.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it. All I'm looking at is that viewfinder. So that little 3-inch screen is all I am looking at for you. And that's the live view mode. So I think most cameras have a live view mode these days, don't they?
Yeah, most of them do.
Yeah, because looking through a viewfinder, it would be a pain. Like, you'd have to close one eye, otherwise you get monocular vision, or whatever it's called. So, I mean, if you cover one of your eyes, your eye's going to ache. Now, a few photos have come up of all filmmakers, like that one that we were laughing at about train spotting, with the cameraman with renting in the toilet.
Yeah.
His eye was actually taped closed.
Right.
Because you try and hold your eye closed for that length of time without any assistance, your face is going to hurt.
Yeah.
So by taping your eye closed, if you are going to use a viewfinder, okay, a viewfinder might be a brilliant way of doing it, but you also have to be careful of light leaking back in through the viewfinder as well.
Yeah, and then that's going to ruin your shot, because you might not be able to see clearly, and you might not know that there's imperfections in your shot until everyone's gone home and you've got in your editor and it's too late then.
Yeah, exactly. So a viewfinder can be great, but I would always recommend like that screen and the flippy screen, and always filming then in a live view mode. If you have a proper camera, then obviously you've got a proper viewfinder that's comfortable to watch. You can buy screens, but obviously you're jumping ahead of yourself then. You're not making what you have value for money for yourself if obviously you're spending another £300-400 on parts for it. Earn money off what you're filming first by producing simple but good quality footage. Get some money in off that, and then start thinking about how would you take this further, and can you take it further with what your initial investment is. But this is why I'd recommend a DSLR, okay? And I know a lot of people would probably disagree with me, is because you've got that lens system that you can upgrade the body on, and you've always got those lenses from your old camera that don't go out of date.
Well, assuming you stay with the same brand. Now, there's other ways to make other lenses work with other makes, using speed boosters and stuff like that, and special adapters that are knockoff, like Chinese things, to make them fit. But sometimes some lenses just don't work, even when you make them fit, and the lens is, for all intents and purposes, working. Sometimes it just doesn't respond as good in terms of image stabilization, or even sometimes you can get vignetting because you've switched brands. And some companies like Sony, for instance, again, force you to stay in their ecosystem because their lenses will only work for Sony cameras. So you couldn't upgrade to a Nikon or a Canon and then use those lenses. So be careful. Do your research past what you were going to initially buy in, because the chances are if you like that camera, you might upgrade to a better model for the same brand. But if you've already bought a long line of lenses and you switch complete brands, you're losing your lenses. So like Dick said, you've got to look at the lenses as well as the camera when you make a choice.
Because that's initially what you're actually buying. You're buying a lens system, and you're buying into the ecosystem of those that brand. Yes, you can sell the whole kit, but you're going to be heartbroken after you've built a big collection and you're getting rid of things just because you want to change to a rival.
Well, that's why Dick has said that you're buying into the lenses, because that's what's going to eat your money away, and that's what's going to make you feel like this tiny little camera body, the new lens that you bought for it's giving you a massive upgrade, because it's like a brand new camera. It's got the same familiar menus and everything that you know because it is your camera, but the lens, I mean, I always remember when I used to buy new lenses back in the day, you couldn't stop looking at the footage or just your living room or whatever you were testing to test out the lens. You could not get over how different it was. It was like it was an upgrade.
Yeah, exactly. It was like having your brand new mobile phone.
Yeah.
It's quick on the first day you got it, but then you fill it full of your shit and you leave all your apps open and you wonder why it runs like shit. But no, it is. It's I think now for me to change from Nikon, because my upgrade path would go. The next one I'll probably get is a D7500 for the 4K jump. I probably will jump the 4K next year, but after I've gone to the 7500, my next upgrade is the D500. I won't be able to go any higher with my current lens system than that. However, I will point out I've got I got my telescope lens. I've actually got a telescope lens that I can actually zoom in on craters on the moon. I use it for solar photography as well. That's 1600 millimeters. So I got that one. I got 4 kit lenses. I've actually got 9 lenses.
Well, if you've got a lens like that, just make sure you've got model release forms. Take your own advice, Dick.
Well, no, the Martians, isn't it? They're not really people, are they? So if they're having sex on the moon, you can take as many pictures as you want, like.
So if you've made a homemade porno because your fucking lens is that good, and it's like an alien with 3 dicks, fucking 3 pussies, because I don't know, the females have got 3 pussies and the males have got 3 dicks. You don't need a model release on because you don't know where you're at, do you?
No, exactly, innit? And nobody knows to tell them, and they'll never find out being on the moon. However, the moon does have a 2 meg internet connection, apparently.
Fucking hell, it's better than some fucking villages up here, that.
It's better than some fucking villages around here. Bet that's better than most of the fucking models' fucking connections in London.
I know. I don't understand that. Someone like James Logan can fucking get 300 megabits per second with Virgin Media and Gateshead, and fucking some people can't even get in London get that.
Yeah, they're probably still on dial-up. Apparently, they still make 2 million a year out of dial-up.
Jesus Christ, who's got that?
I don't know. I wouldn't want to try Windows 10 in a modern Google Chrome. I mean, Chrome now is getting to the point where 8 gig of RAM's not enough.
Yeah.
You've still got people buying brand new laptops with 2 gig of RAM.
Well, you shouldn't be getting a Mr. Spell. We've been through this before.
I know, we have been through the Mr. Spell bit. However, so yeah, just take it into account, everybody, that you're buying a lens system, you're not buying a camera.
Yeah.
The camera is secondary to the quality of the lenses that you're buying. Now, do you want cheap lenses that you can get a whole Milky Way of different lenses? Because you do become a bit of a lens whore. When you start getting into it a little bit, you do what you start like finding yourself on Amazon and having a look through the lens catalogs, and then you're on eBay looking at all these other lenses and all that.
And then you're on YouTube watching a review, and once you're watching a review, it's in your shopping cart, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I tend to leave things in my shopping cart for a couple of weeks, because then Amazon start letting me know when the prices have dropped and all that sort of stuff. Because I find with online retailers, if I leave stuff in the basket, the prices do eventually drop.
Yeah.
It's a risk versus reward thing. Sometimes they don't because they couldn't give a shit, innit? But larger companies, they need to shift stock. So I tend to find by shopping with the larger ones, it won't work on eBay, I will point out. But with Amazon, I tend to add stuff to my basket and just leave it there. And then they start sending me messages, oh, there's 20% off this and there's 30% off that sort of thing. But I do find that does actually get me a few bargains. because I love a fucking bargain.
Well, I think everybody does. I think everyone likes a bargain in whatever you buy, but if you get a bargain in technology, it's an instant semi-on, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. However, if you do have a 1 gig laptop that's from 1996, and you only have, say, a 3 gig hard drive because hey, it was your mum's once, and it must have been a good one because your mum had it. So at the end of the day, DSLRs are not going to be for you. Okay, I will rule that out now. A dual core is going to struggle like hell to render out any footage that you make.
Well, if you've got anything even remotely similar to that, then you've got no place listening to this podcast, and we wash our hands of you.
Yeah, you need to invest in yourself technology-wise first. Okay, we do keep saying this about everything because you do get your money back.
Yeah, if you really want to make a go of this, and you've been listening to Dick's advice throughout the episode so far, and you decide to not go for a good deal, which is a killer deal to get you in at a good level, and you'd rather spend the money on a tattoo, you're not investing in yourself, are you?
No, it's important to invest yourself because, as we've said before many times, that you're in the business now where it's the cheapest business that you can get in, because you'll never get in any business at this sort of level for that little buy-in.
And see tits all the time.
Yeah, so I mean, for £1,000, you can get yourself a DSLR, a computer, a graphics card. You can get yourself a storage hard drive. You're laughing.
Definitely.
£1,000. Now that is nothing compared to what it would cost you. I think it's something like 750 grand for a Burger King one, and they're not even as popular as McDonald's.
Fucking hell.
So you're looking at a very, very little buy-in for something that could potentially make you a lot of money. And yes, there is still money to be made in porn, and the way you do it is by filming, learning, and evolving.
Yeah. Don't expect to be great at it straight away, but a clip is a clip, and people will buy it.
If it's the right price, people will buy it.
Yeah. So look at your work and go, right, okay, I'm new. I can't charge 5 credits for this, but I can charge 1.5 credits for it, just to make a little bit of something back, because that's all it's worth, because you're learning. But you can also sell what you're learning if it, has some sort of pornographic content to it. If you're trying to go into the adult business, if you're trying to go into shooting family portraits, you tuned into the wrong podcast. I don't know how you've getting here.
Yeah. Bye.
Boobies.
No, yeah, boobies. But no, it is. It's very much a case of, you do need the oomph to be able to process that amount of data. But you're never going to get a cheaper buy-in in any industry is what it is on this. I mean, if you go to a garage, they're going to have more money invested in tools than what you are on your very basic setup. It can be very daunting, obviously, and it is a bit of a risk. However, if you're pricing it correctly while you're learning, obviously passive income can total a hell of a lot of money.
My mate's a fucking tiler, and his whole kit before he even got one job was £2,800.
Yeah, exactly. So you can't even be a tiler. So you need to think about what that £1,000 actually means to you. Obviously, for people that have spent years investing in the industry, they don't really need to do it. They do know what they're doing. And actually making friends and, make a contact, speak to them. It is worth doing that. You
can't even be a plasterer, but for under £1,000, you can get in at the adult industry and plaster people's faces.
Yeah, all over.
Yeah, absolutely all over.
I still think that's a good idea, soy boy porn.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that might be what he's planning.
Yeah, sorry, we're really curious about what James is going to be filming with his new M50 mirrorless camera.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're not taking the piss. We sincerely mean this. What we saw him do with his iPhone and the iPad in terms of framing and what shots he did and the pacing and the timing before each shot changed, there's definitely a natural potential there. If you haven't got that to start with, you will struggle throughout all of this. We'll have to be honest about this. You either naturally can do it, doesn't matter how much you learn software and the ins and outs of it. If your method and your application of how to do things is wrong, your stuff will always be wrong. And James seems to have a very, very early natural talent. And me and you's been pushing him. I think we're more excited that he's been filling his shopping cart than he is, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. In fact, he showed us his shopping cart. Those are nice socks. But no, it is. It's very much about, I think the framing's the key thing. Once you got used to the framing of it, I think everything else is superfluous to the requirement, isn't it?
Definitely.
So once you've got the framing in and you've got nice framing, so one way that you could discover that is if you have a partner and you do get it, you can hire a camera quite cheap these days as well, can't you?
Yeah.
So if you want to hire a camera for a week just to see if you can do it, give your partner a chance. If your partner is involved and they know what you do, okay, there's nothing wrong with actually speaking to your partner because your partner might be naturally good at filming stuff. You know, the difference is then is if the partner is filming you, you're going to have to learn to take direction from them. They're not being critical of you. They're just trying to create something.
Yeah.
Because when I first started filming, I was too scared to speak up. Now I'm quite happy to be bossy, but I'm respectful. There's a difference. Okay, so I think you film your partner jerking off. He just don't have his face in it if he's fucking thing, you know, in like practice how you would do your framing, then get him to do it because he's probably watched a lot more porn than you have.
Yeah, I reckon that's a huge possibility.
That's probably why men always buy really good cameras and women don't.
Yeah, because they just think, I know I'm getting it for the kids' birthdays and Christmases, but this would look mint in a porn scene.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just it. I mean, I think men find it easier. I don't think it's anything to do with the gender divide. I just think, obviously, we all have different abilities. I mean, some men are probably useless, some men are really good. Some women are probably exceptional, and some, you know, women probably aren't. Like, however, there's a big difference between being good and thinking you're good. Show your work to other people, get other people's opinions on it as well, and take the criticism in the constructive way. Because, I mean, when I first started editing, I didn't even class myself as making anything, and I was sharing it obviously with other people. And the feedback, and these people are a hell of a lot better than me, and you know, the feedback was initially brilliant. Like, so you know, I've taken that now on board because obviously I thought, well, if I am doing it and they are saying this, I'll give it a fucking go.
And if
that's what you can do.
If you're curious about witnessing and seeing some evidence of people who think they're better than they are, just go on Twitter.
Yeah, have a look on Twitter, right? And you'll see things like flames in front of them rather than flames behind them. Now that takes me a long time to do, to put like things like a freeze frame with text appearing behind them. So I've got to separate the model from the background, alter the focus, and there's a lot of work goes into the editing.
If you've got a good particle system in your render, you can do smoke, you can do little bits of sparks of fire coming off. If your flat fire is in front of you and it looks like something out of fucking Who Framed Roger Rabbit, it's a fucking Snapchat filter. No one's spent any time on that.
Yeah, to be honest, right, I don't like girls with Snapchat filters because all it tells me is they tend to look better as barnyard animals.
I honestly, seriously get people applying to be in Nerd Pervert, and sometimes all the pictures are just Snapchat, and I'm just like, I have to spell it out and say, can you send us some normal ones, please?
Yeah. So this is it. Learn how to do this, because once your picture quality goes up, your overall confidence in your quality will go up as well. And then you can start taking a few more risks in what you're filming. So again, it is all about investing in yourself, but it's also about having the right gear now. And it's also making a decision and keeping to your decision. What system are you going to buy?
Right. So yeah. So sorry if we were a bit preachy. Obviously, I'm going to favour the stuff I know works, and Dick's going to favour the stuff he know works. And if you listen to someone else's advice other than this, obviously I can't understand how you wouldn't listen to obviously Dick's tips over anybody else's. But whoever you listen to, they will be speaking from experience with the brand that they use. And on that, I think that's a good point to end this very all over the place episode, but still hopefully you found some useful information in there. And I just want to say thanks to Dick for taking his time to offer technology advice once again to the masses. And we'll see you next time, Dick.
Yep, always a pleasure, mate, and I'll see you next time. And remember, everybody, reach out and touch someone, because you never know, they might be more friendly than you ever imagine.
In the anus. there's always a bit where you understand what he means and he goes off on one you're like, huh.
Aye, that's always like the first like 10 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has to reel you in somehow, though, doesn't
I
he?
suppose.
Do you know what the funny thing is? All these bits are interlinked with getting the right equipment for production and making your production really well with sound and lighting and editing and cheap computers and shit like that. He says this is starting off simple. So what the fuck's he going to go into later on? Do you know what I mean? It's fucking hell. But I'm sure it'll be interesting nonetheless, won't it? You know what I mean?
Well, audience seems to enjoy it, so...
Well, yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm getting a lot of emails about it, actually.
Yeah.
Last week's email said that he'd bought 2.
Alright, well, fucking hell. Good stuff.
That's alright, you know what I mean? Because, honestly, right, when these people find out that what you can do with them, they're going to put the price up. Because mainly people are buying the game on.
Aye.
I mean, I taught you, Craig, didn't I? If your computer fucking bites the dust, you need to get one of them instead of buying a new tower, because it's on a budget and it'll probably be powerful than your fucking computer. Do you know what I mean? And it's got a fucking lovely little graphics card in it and all. And like I say, 250 quid, it'll be about 450 altogether when you do it up. It is fucking hot in here because he's panting like fuck. So there's the fucking telltale fucking sign in it, you know what I mean?
We're all sat together as well, body heat.
Oh, exactly.
Thanks, Winter.
Right, so time to go on to our chat with Kitty Misfit, where we discuss mental health in the adult industry. So have a listen to this. Right, I'm joined here by Kitty Misfit, who's here to talk to us a little bit about a very serious issue, something that we don't normally talk about, it isn't talked about much, which is why obviously you wanted to do this chat, isn't that right?
Yes.
Now, obviously, I'm going to ask questions that I've seen being asked, which might not necessarily be a good question to ask, but I'm going to ask them because I think it's things that do get brought up. And I think there needs to be more understanding of it, including my understanding of it. I mean, obviously, you know, me and you know each other really well, but you also know that I struggle with it sometimes in terms of, like, why can't people just fucking just get on with things? You know, like, I hate saying things like that.
Yeah.
But, like, sometimes I just think, bloody hell, like, how many people actually do think, like, is it real or is it not real, or has more people got it than we think, or has less people got it than we think, and is it just people jumping on the bandwagon online, and then obviously that's stopping the people who's really got something wrong with them from getting help? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So obviously let's just start off at the beginning first before we get into the serious stuff. So obviously you've been in the adult business for about 2 years now, nearly.
Yeah, just past 2 years.
So obviously you got your first shoot with us. That's like you actually your first adult boy-girl shoot, but you were doing webcamming well before. Now obviously as me and you was getting to know each other really well, and obviously with me knowing what's going on with you at this current time, I've started to see patterns in when we first started talking to obviously when you actually finally did do the boy-girl. Now I used to think possibly, and correct us if I'm wrong here, but I thought that might have been just you really, really thinking about doing boy-girl, which you should do. And obviously it took you 3 years to decide that you wanted to do it. But sometimes you used to vanish offline as well. In that 3 years where I never used to hear from you, and you used to deactivate your account and stuff like that. So obviously we'll get to your diagnosis eventually, but do you think that was like the beginning stages of that something wasn't quite right with your health, do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's probably, you know, as I know now, I know that, you know, I'll sort of get cycles, what I'll call them. And obviously what you've seen was cycles, but you didn't quite understand anything more than that.
Yeah. But I don't think you did though back then, did you? You knew there was something wrong, but obviously you've had a diagnosis now where, you know, obviously it's inside your head, you know the way you're feeling, but obviously you must have thought at some point, like, what the fuck's wrong with me? You know what I mean?
Oh, God, yes.
So have you always had this, or is this like since you became an adult, or have you always had these, like, you know, fits of ups and downs and possibly dark thoughts and stuff like that from a young age, or when did you start, even before diagnosis, when did you start thinking there's something not right here?
I think I've always had them, yeah. You know, I started noticing it, and, you know, my parents and friends started noticing it when I was a teenager. But obviously, when you're a teenager, you know, a lot of things happen. You know, you get the moody teenager who just rebels against their parents because they can. So, because of a lot of things happening whilst you're a teenager, it sort of just gets like passed off, and you sort of think, it's just teenage stuff. But when it started coming into my adult years and then just sort of not going, that's when I thought, you know what, maybe there's sort of some sort of issue here.
So obviously, you know, I mean, obviously you're still a young person now, but back then, when you were probably starting to realise like something wasn't right, you know, mental health wasn't as widespread as it is now in terms of that there's supposed to be so-called professionals who can help you now. Like back then, you probably did think it was your hormones or possibly just adolescence and stuff like that.
Yeah, to be honest, I strongly believed it so much that even when I was well past the age, you know, when I was 19, 20, 21, I was still sort of thinking, oh, maybe it's, you know, maybe it's just my hormones, maybe it's just linked to, I don't know, normal stuff. Especially with, you know, me being a woman as well. Maybe it was just my periods. There's loads of stuff that I was telling myself.
So when did you start to get help? Because obviously, you know, you used to put it down, especially when I first came into your life, was that it was anxiety that used to literally floor you, where you couldn't get out of bed, and some days, and sometimes you used to sleep all day, and, you know, sometimes it physically used to just take over everything. But obviously we found out later on it was a lot more than that. Or is it two separate things where you still do have anxiety? Because you can be misdiagnosed as well, can't you?
Yeah, it's two separate things, but they're also closely linked.
Right.
So, you know, it is anxiety, but it is also a disorder by itself. It's just sort of, you know, one of those things where sometimes it comes with as a package.
Yeah. See, one thing I didn't consider at the time was that obviously I was always in a caring way lecturing you to get help and saying, oh, it's only the right tablet and everything will be fine and stuff like that. That's obviously my lack of knowledge on stuff, but obviously meaning well at the same time, wanting my friend to get better, as we all do. But it's weird how, like, at one point I didn't know whether you wanted help. Like, it was sort of, from my point of view, it was just like, she seems happy to moan on that she's got anxiety every day instead of just going to the fucking doctors. Like, obviously I've even said this to you, haven't I? But it's not a case of that. Like, sometimes part of the illness is stopping you getting help as well, because you just don't think anybody wants to listen.
Yeah. Mind you did help me quite a lot. You asked, I don't know, before you asked, when did you get help? And I can't remember when it was. I think it was maybe March or April time, when you were basically telling me, you know, every day you need to go to the doctors. And I think I went to the doctors around March, but I think I was on a waiting list or something like that. Which, you know, with the NHS at the moment, there is waiting lists and they are long. I didn't understand what to do at that point. Never mind, what am I meant to tell my friends like you?
Yeah. I mean, I think from a friend's point of view, I think that, and again, it'll probably be part of your illness that you're not self-aware that you're doing it, but I think the worrying thing is when I don't hear from you.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, I'm, you know, your bestie is what you say, but like sometimes I feel so far apart from you because you do disappear. And I don't know whether that's part of the illness where you just want to go into your own hole and try and get out of it and just not bother anybody, or whether, you know, you literally just, I don't know, you're just not aware that you're doing it. And sometimes that can be a worry, like, obviously from the other side, you know, like the people who care about you, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think a part of my illness is actually isolation, which is obviously something that I do quite a lot, and I'll just go quiet. And, you know, if it wasn't for you nagging at us, or in a loving way, obviously, or my family popping over to visit us, then I probably would just completely self-isolate myself to sort of get away from everyone and everything.
But do you not think that's making yourself feel lonely? Like, obviously, I know the illness sometimes makes people feel like they don't matter and nobody wants your shit and stuff like that. But, like, do you not think, like, that's the illness is part of the problem? That, like, it stops you from logically trying to be around people, because obviously that's what it is. It's something that stops you thinking like somebody who hasn't got a mental illness, and your mind's just firing off all these different cylinders and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
So, if we talk about the porn business, because I've always said to a lot of producers that if it doesn't happen to my company specifically, it could happen to another company where, you know, you get girls coming into the porn industry who, you know, may or may not have a mental health issue, and let's just say somebody didn't. And then they regret it and they want it all removed, and you get the emails, please take it down, I've met someone, I'm getting married, and, you know, I regret doing it, sort of thing. And you usually just turn around and say, well, sorry, you know, darling, I'm really sorry you feel that way and that you regret it, but you signed a model release form, and, you know, we did say at the time it was forever and stuff like that. And then you could get somebody who, you know, because you don't have to disclose to a company that you've got a mental health issue. And if you've just met somebody and you've only known them over a 3-hour shoot, you might think, God, what a lovely girl, I'd work with her again. But you don't know really what's the underlying problem there, because you've got nothing to compare to how they were before.
Yeah.
And I've always said, like, one day something's going to happen where someone's going to come out and say, I did that porn shoot when I wasn't very well, and I've got mental health issues, and I didn't disclose it. So technically, I don't know if I was in the right frame of mind when I consented to do that, and I still think that could possibly hold up in court if the date on the model release form ran in conjunction with some treatment of some sort by a mental health specialist, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think it's mistaken sometimes that, you know, people might say, oh, I'm not working with anyone with mental health, that's just a fucking whole another bunch of problems. But I don't think it's necessarily the person not wanting somebody who isn't very well on set. It's a fact that of what the problems it could bring on their business. It's fear more than anything that all that work could be done, and then in a court of law something like that could be proven that that person wasn't in the right frame of mind at the time, and then the work would get removed. So I think sometimes it's not so much misunderstanding of the situation. I think it's more so the fact that, you know, business in the porn industry is difficult as it is, without inviting more problems on board that you might be aware of already.
Yeah.
So what would you say to that? Like, obviously, you know, you worked with us, and I have to assume that the times that you've worked with us, you consented and you weren't, you know, in a bad place.
I think it's a difficult one, to be honest. I mean, you know, you've got the factor of people who would say that they weren't in the frame of mind. Well, that would sort of, you know, not every person with mental health is going to go through phases and cycles like I do. You know, for instance, if someone has major depressive disorder, you know, they're not going to do porn in any sort of mindset because they're depressed. So the symptoms for them are, you know, not getting out of bed, you know, just generally not doing anything, which is what you've seen a lot in me.
Yeah.
It's a bit more difficult when you get into the likes of, you know, bipolar and schizophrenia and things like that, because then you know, you do get sort of different mindsets where you might think differently from you do at when you're normal, let's say.
Yeah,
And
I hate using that word normal, but we'll use the word normal in terms of the frame of mind, not that people who have got mental health aren't normal. It's just to differentiate between being in a bad place when you're currently under medical attention and not needing any help. So we'll use those terms. So anyone who's listening, we're not having a go.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, like you've got, you know, in your own sort of self of being what normal is for you.
Yeah.
So everyone's got their own different kind of normal. But if you're in a different place, in a different headspace, then yeah, you might do porn and you might sort of regret it at a different time. But you know, that's sort of going into what are you going to do about it? Are you going to say, I'll never hire anyone who has, you know, these sort of medical disorders? Are you going to have to vet them properly? Are you going to then, you know, what about the people who have got problems but they've never been to the doctors, they've never seen by someone, and they've just dealt with it by themselves? So then they don't know that they've got a problem, you don't know they've got a problem, and then in 2 years down the line, all of a sudden, everyone realises. I think it's just one of those things where you can take as many precautions as you like, but at the end of the day, you know, you're sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place.
So do you think, like, obviously with someone who suffers from mental health, I mean, even if it's not the case for you, do you think that there's a link between mental health issues in performers and why they go into the business? Because there seems to be a lot of people at the minute, and this is the bit where I struggle to get my head around it, that everyone seems to have it at the minute, and everyone's tweeting about it, and everyone's Facebooking about it, and it's like, you know, there's no evidence that any of these people are telling the truth. And I'm not saying that they're lying, but people do lie about a lot of things to get attention. And there is the genuine ones, but I often wonder, if you have got that type of mental health issue, why would you get into the porn industry, even if you've been well for, say, 3 years, but you know that at any point it could just grab hold of you, because obviously there's no telling when it's going to reveal its ugly face. And do you not think, like I always say, if you're bad at being on time, don't be in the porn industry. And I say, if you're not professional and you don't really want to do it, don't be in the porn industry. So there's loads of reasons why not to be in the porn industry. But when something like mental health so unpredictable, do you not think that successfully stops people from doing the job that they're trying to do? Because no one's going to say, oh, sorry, Paul, I can't come to the shoot today. Why? Well, I've got mental health issues and I'm not feeling it today. It's like, no one's going to say, well, you fucking turn up now or you can fuck off. You go, oh, no problem, you take all the time you need. It's like it's a nervous knee-jerk reaction that I think you don't question it, because who are you to question it when you've got no evidence that they have or haven't got it? Do you just see where I'm coming from?
Yeah. Gosh, you covered quite a lot in that little paragraph or rant that you done. I think, firstly, I think that, you know, a lot of people are sort of coming to the surface about having it, and they may not actually have it. They may be saying that they've got something when they've got something else. You know, like for a long time I told you that I've just got anxiety, and obviously for me it turned out that I actually, you know, have something else.
Yeah, but you weren't lying though. You thought that you were telling the truth to the best of your knowledge though. That is true, but obviously some people, you know, the signs for anxiety might be the signs for I don't know, some sort of I can't think of the word, some sort of heart problem. You know, like your heart might be beating differently. It might not be linked to mental health at all. But I think, you know, in 2018, people are trying to sort of talk about mental health more. People are trying to raise more awareness. And I think that that's why a lot of people are trying to talk about it.
I think talking about it's great. You probably shouldn't look at someone and think, you know, they might be lying, because to be fair, if someone's lying about having some sort of mental illness, then they do have a mental illness, because it will be, you know, something along the lines of their symptoms are a compulsive liar. So, you know, you do have to think about that, you know, like everyone's saying about someone doing it for attention. Well, attention seeking is a symptom of a lot of mental disorders. Sometimes it's simply people trying to get help, but not saying it in a roundabout way. I think as for porn shoots, I actually got a really nice text today from a producer, and I'd mentioned that I'm not doing porn at the minute because of my mental health, and I got a reply saying, you know what, I totally understand, and whenever you're better and you're feeling mentally up for it, you know, come back to her. And I think, you know, that's the way that it should be.
So have you got every intentions of coming back? Like when you feel like you're better than you are now?
Yeah, massively, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come back with a bang as well.
Cool.
Pun intended.
So you're gonna come back with a bang. For Dust Films, it'll be like your first porn shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about like so? I mean, some people would say, this is not necessarily my opinion, by the way, but some people would say that it's also a get out of jail card for like any scenario. So for instance, like I could lose my temper and be really fucking nasty to somebody, right, and not had a drink or anything, and then when I regret it because I just totally flew off the handle. I mean, I wouldn't do this personally, but I'm just, you know, some people might, and then suddenly when the backlash comes back at them, they just go, shit, I should have calmed down, I shouldn't have said anything, I should have just left it and said me bit tomorrow, but I flew off the handle. Oh, fuck it, I've got bipolar. And then people will go, oh, no problem, look, you don't have to explain anything, we understand, you know, that's not a very nice thing to have, apparently. Do you think there will be somewhere some of that? I'm not saying with you, by the way, I just literally mean like in society.
Yeah, probably, yeah. Because obviously, you know, if there are people who want to use mental illness as an excuse, well, it's very easy to, because someone doesn't want to question it. A lot of people think, you know, with me talking about how openly I am, I get a lot of people who say, I understand that it must be difficult for you to talk about it. And my response to them is, well, actually, it's not. It's quite comforting for me to talk about it, because I'm not, you know, keeping it inside anymore. But it seems to make other people more uncomfortable than it actually makes me.
I think it does, though, because it's like coming from someone who's your friend, like sometimes I feel uncomfortable. Like I don't know why, but I just feel like nothing I can do can help you. So it's frustration as well, but it's also like literally, what do I fucking say to that? She's just there said she's in hospital again because she's trying to kill herself. What can I say? Like, what can I say to you?
Yeah, I understand that it must be difficult, but you know, I think, you know, you try to understand, and that
not very well, but I try.
it speaks volumes, you know. Like, you don't need to say, well, I was reading about this and I've decided that this might help and this might help and this might help. I'd much rather you just, you know, send us a little text and say, I'm thinking about you, because that means so much more to me.
I think I need to start doing that more, because I have sort of slipped on now a little bit, and I think the reason is because I, like, sometimes I just get in a mood where I go, well, she hasn't contacted me either, so she's choosing not to even like, let me try and help her. But obviously that's part of the illness, as you've explained, that you sort of retreat into your own little cave and you think that's the best thing sometimes, and that's the illness sort of stopping you from getting help. Isn't it weird how, like, it sounds like you're at war in your own head?
Yeah, massively. I am. Yep, that's a really good explanation for it.
No, but you know what I mean? Because I'm telling you, like, logically you should be saying, well, I better just get in touch with Paul because he'll be worrying. But it doesn't cross your mind, and it's not you being a bitch. It's not you being selfish. It's just literally your brain is not thinking like it should be, where you go, God, my mum and dad must be worried about us because, you know, I've just come home from hospital after trying something silly and I've never fucking contacted them for 3 days because I just want to be on my own. It's like, it's almost as if it's not letting you think that way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, for example, I know that when I feel myself slipping into a bad place, you know, logically, the rational part of your brain will go, well, I feel myself getting into a dark place. Maybe I should, you know, ring the hospital, ring someone, you know, tell a friend. But the unrational brain is very strong in my head. So basically, instead of doing the things that I'm meant to be doing, I'll just go, nah, I'll just be quiet and not bother them and, you know, keep my problems to myself, which obviously is not a healthy way of coping.
So, are you able to talk about what it feels like when you do start to feel the slip? Is that not going to trigger anything? Is it safe to actually ask you that question?
Yeah, massively, yeah.
So you're sitting on your own and all of a sudden you start to feel like you're losing control of your own head again and the dark thoughts are starting to grab hold of you. What does that feel like? Do you hear voices? Do you just suddenly get paranoid? Do you just suddenly decide that you're worthless and you shouldn't be here? Like, what goes on in your head when this starts to happen?
It sort of ranges from time to time. Sometimes, you know, I'll wake up in the morning and I'll have, you know, the anxious feeling in my chest, and it'll just sort of, you know, build up and build up and build up, and it'll get to the point where I'll be so anxious that I'll be shaking, and you know, I won't be able to like pour a cup of tea properly because I'm shaking too much and I can't think about anything. So I'll take myself to bed. And then obviously I'll take myself to bed and I'll think, oh, I wish this anxiety would go away. You know, it would be so much easier if I just wasn't here. And that is sort of where my brain ends up very quickly. I've actually been doing some work with the mental health team, and we've sort of likened it to, you know how your brain's got like a sort of default setting?
Yeah.
So if you're not doing anything, you know, your default setting might be, I'm okay. You know, just content. Well, my brain default setting is actually quite low. And when my brain gets overloaded, my brain just sort of explodes. I mean, it doesn't really, but my brain just sort of explodes, and then it goes to the default setting of, I hate my life, why am I here? Which very, very quickly, you know, in a matter of 5 minutes, can get into danger.
So it happens that quickly?
Yeah.
So let's just say when you're cutting yourself, and stop us if I'm going too deep, right? If you don't want to talk about it, just cut us off. But when you're starting to self-harm, is there like a numbness where you can't feel the pain, or can you feel it as much as if I did it and there's nothing wrong with us, but yet you still can't stop yourself because you're telling yourself to keep doing it? Like, what is that like?
I think self-harm is quite a difficult one because everyone does it for different reasons. And I do it when I've got a build-up of intense emotion. You know, my entire disorder is built around me not being able to deal with intense emotions. So, you know, intense happiness, intense sadness, intense anger, intense stress. And I'll sort of get to that point where, you know, a normal person would need a coping strategy. So I was actually speaking to a nurse the other day, and I said, when you're stressed, what do you do? And the nurse said, well, I'll go for walks, or I'll comfort eat. I'll sit and I'll have like my bucket of ice cream. And you see that a lot, you know, when girls break up from their boyfriends on the movies, and they'll be sitting in bed with their ice cream, and they'll just eat it and eat it and eat it.
Well, you're making us want some now.
I know, I really want some as well. And, you know, you sort of do it without thinking. So I'll just sort of automatically, you know, as automatic as I'm going for a cigarette. You know, it's just a habit. And I'll do it. And it won't be until I'm halfway through when my brain sort of speeds up with me and it goes, wait there, what are you doing? This kind of hurts.
Mm.
So it's sort of like my brain's actually slower than the compulsion.
So is this a really big coincidence, right? But one thing I've noticed with you is when you didn't know what it was and you just thought it was anxiety and you were trying various tablets to cope with what you thought was just anxiety before you got, you know, diagnosed. It seems to be since you know what it is, you seem to be relapsing more. Is that just a coincidence, or is that just literally bad timing where at the time of your diagnosis you've reached a point of no return where, you know, the crisis team and the doctors are like, right, fuck this girl has to be dealt with now and she needs to be put on some sort of path where she can live a normal life, and we've got to get this under control because we've spent too long treating her for the wrong thing. So do you think is it a coincidence, or is it just the fact that just at the time that you were diagnosed it was just spiraling more and more out of control because you've tried to self-harm before but not as often as or as severe as now, if that makes sense? And it's almost since you've got a name for it, it seems to be out of control, almost as if it knows. You know, does that sound weird though? Can you say what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I mean, 5 years ago, I wasn't as bad as I am now, but you know, I was in a pretty bad place. And instead of self-harming, what I done is I started to binge drink. And that was my coping mechanism then. Now, I used to self-harm. You know, I've self-harmed since I was about 12. But as you say, it's not as severe as it is now. I think the reason why it's probably so severe is because I've never dealt with such stress like I am currently in my life. And the reason why I'm stressed is because the trying to get better means that I've got to tell a lot of people about my life. I've got to talk to a lot of doctors. I counted last week, in the space of 4 days, I had to tell 10 people essentially my life story. And, you know, I think even if you weren't mentally unwell, you'd probably really struggle with that and you'd find it quite stressful.
Well, I would, because if I ever got a mental health issue, God forbid, like, I don't talk to anybody about anything. I've never had to. So I'm like, people say I'm a deep bugger because I'm a friend to them, but I don't allow them to be it back. But it's nothing personal against anyone. I just deal with things on my own. So if I ever go anything like that, and I'm naturally like that where I don't talk, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would struggle with that without the mental health thing, because I couldn't tell all them people about myself because I fucking hate talking about myself.
And you do get annoyed, you know, like there's been times where I go into hospital and I will get promised something from the doctors, you know, you will get help tomorrow, you will be better by tomorrow. And the amount of promises that the NHS have made to me, the services are so stretched that they can't carry them through. So, of course, that makes me frustrated and stressed. And the more frustrated and stressed I get, the more I dig myself into a deeper hole mentally.
So what have they said to you about the road forward, even if it's not now, and even if you're not quite there yet in terms of your treatment? Have they got a goal in mind where they want to get you? Obviously, saying they want you to get better isn't a good enough, pathway to put you on. But have they said it's a case of finding the right medication, or you'll always, in times of stress, need to possibly have to go and see someone to talk to them professionally to stop it ever getting this bad again? Like, do we actually know what to do with you or not?
Because what I've got is a personality disorder, it can not be managed by medication, which means that I'm on medication right now because, mainly to help with my anxiety and to lessen the blow of everything.
Anything that might trigger it, yeah.
Yes, but it's not going to cure it. The only thing that will cure it is therapy, and it's highly likely that I'm going to be in and out of therapy for the rest of my life.
So does that not worry you, like, as a member of society, that, like, because that's going to take a very special person, like, even partner-wise, male or female, to sort of be able to put up with that? I mean, it's easy for me to say that I'm here for you because I'm just your friend, but if you were my partner, I honestly can't answer that question because I don't know. I would have to be in that situation to be able to say I can't be with this person because I'm stressed because of it. Do you know what I mean? Which sounds like a very selfish thing to say, but I think people just naturally want an easy life, and I think they get put off by being around someone who can ruin a happy moment in an instant if they relapse. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, I understand completely, and I think, you've been watching me go through a breakup as well, and, you helped me ground myself and, told me, well, to be honest, it would take a very strong person to, support someone with a mental health problem like mine.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't like saying that to you, but I would, based on your last relationship of how bad it went, I think it was partly to do with your mental illness, but I also think it was him, in terms of he wasn't who we thought he was, in certain areas of the relationship. So somebody else could come along who could have the patience of a saint. I mean, I'm not saying that you're never going to be happy because of it could flare up and ruin things in an instant, because you can't think like that. You've got to find happiness, and happiness is the goal and the path that we all want to be on. I'm fortunate I've already got that. So, I think the important message here to anyone who's got any type of mental health issue is do not ever feel that you're not good enough, and don't ever feel that you'll never be loved, because you will. It's just, I think some people can cope with it and some people can't. And I think when they've seen you at your worst, I think that's when, if they're still there, you go, right, this person's like my rock. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It must be a very difficult thing to live with for you, who can't help it, or anybody else who's got a mental health issue, but also the person who has to put up with it. And if they can put up with it, people with mental health must say all the time, why are you still even here? Like, sometimes I'm horrible to you, or sometimes when you got that job promotion, I was in my own little world of depression. Now I ruined everything, and you had to go and celebrate it without us, and I'm sorry. And they'll turn around and say, well, I want to be with you, so I love you, and I don't care what you've got. That's what makes me love you even more, because I feel like I've got to protect you. You do get people like that, and I think you've got to believe that they're out there, especially when you've got something like what you've got, where there's no permanent cure.
Yeah.
Sorry, I went all soppy there, but you know what I mean, though. You do know what I mean, though. It's like you can't automatically just go, the minute they see me at me bottom, they're just going to fuck off. You can't think like that. You've got to think positive. I mean, I used to say to you all the time that you've got to get yourself well before you get in a relationship, but what the fuck do I know? Now I'm starting to believe that that was bad advice, because if you're never going to be cured, you're going to have good days and bad days, and it's the good days that will make up for the bad. Obviously, the bad being when the person's worried sick over you because you might attempt to kill yourself or whatever. Like, not just you, just anybody with mental health, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, you know, we all have good days and bad days. Just someone with something who's not wired properly and they can't help it, is they possibly might have more bad days than good. But then does that make you appreciate the good more? I take my life for granted every day. In that sense, if I compare it to you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it makes you think, you know, like how lucky any of us are to not have that. You know, like you've described the way your brain doesn't sort of, you know, judge things properly and thinks the worst, and then that triggers that and that triggers that, and then you just, you know, you fall down into a hole. And it's like, that literally is your brain not functioning properly, and there probably isn't a cure for that.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've been thinking of a lot lately, and it's not necessarily to do with you actually, I'll tell you a story that we found. I found a new girl, or she found me, who wanted to get into porn. And you've got to be a businessman, and you've also got to be understanding. Since I've had my time off over the summer, for some reason I've changed a lot, and I'm being a businessman more than the nice person that I am when I'm not at work, sort of thing. And I found out it's worked. I've had less cancellations. And I think before I was trying to be everybody's friend, because I know that leads to a good reference. But that's not what it's about. Like, if I never go another good reference, I've got enough. I've got 17 years worth, do you know what I mean? Do I need any more? And anyway, I was talking to this girl. She was, you know, really, really, really skinny, small frame girl. She had jet black hair, and she was technically an emo or a goth or whatever, or that's what she looked like from a photograph. She was from Birmingham. And we were talking on WhatsApp, because that's how I prefer to do it now, just to make sure they're a real person and stuff. And then she just, as we got talking about the levels and she was asking all the right questions and stuff, she then said, just to let you know, I've got a mental health issue. I was like, right, okay. I says, but well, what is it? Like, obviously, I'm just going to ask you outright because you brought it up. And she was like, well, you know, I've self-harmed before. She says, if you notice in the pictures that I showed you, I've always got, like, body stockings on. And that's to hide the scars. So I just said, well, where are they? And she just said, well, you know, the top of my arms, and I've got the odd one, you know, near my cleavage and stuff. But obviously, they slightly risen, but I've never done it for 4 years, and, you know, the normal colour now, and they're not as noticeable. I never want anyone to look back at the scars or see them, especially if I'm doing this, and think that girl's not right in the head, because I am now. And whether I ever have another episode or not, I honestly don't know. It's only ever happened the once. And I was like, right, okay. And then I said, right, well, the only problem I've got with it is, and I've been thinking about this a lot, where do you draw the line between being understanding and being a friend and being a businessman? Now, for instance, right, if you came back to us when you're all better doing another nerd pervert scene or whatever, obviously I would love to work with you again, because you're my mate, so I'll get to hang out with you and we get to do some porn. Do you know what I mean? It's like a double whammy. It makes it 10 times more easy working with your friends than it does a total stranger you've never met.
Yeah.
But the only thing is, I'm starting to worry about what people are going to think. So, for instance, if you end up, you know, feeling the best you've ever felt in a couple of months' time, and you're like that for years before you ever, you know, relapse, and that's if you ever do, you might never do it again. It's just that unpredictable, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I'd never want anyone to think that as a porn producer, because I'm already scum, by the way, because I'm a porn producer, so society thinks that I, you know, talk people into doing porn, and they don't do it against their own free will and stuff. So I'm always worried that if I shoot somebody with prominent scars, that if that took to Twitter, you know, someone said, look at Dusk Films, Look what he's done to that poor girl. You can tell she's not mentally well because look at the scars all over her body. And he shot her like that. Like, what the fuck has he said to her to make that poor girl want to do porn? Can you see where I'm coming from? And that would spread like wildfire all over Twitter. So not necessarily with you, but I did say this to her. I said, you know, you're sort of taking a big risk getting accused of something you're not when you shoot somebody who's got, like, obviously noticeable scars. And that's what I really worry about. Maybe I'm just being over paranoid, but I've got a good reputation. I don't want to be tarnished by a group of feminists on Twitter who decide to fucking tweet a comment like that to 20,000 people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's sort of making us on a knife edge about it at the minute, because I'm thinking, like, I could persuade you to come to me rescue and say you did it against your own free will, but people's already read it by then and made their own mind up that I'm a fucking wanker. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you never recover from it. So I sort of said that to her, and she was like, no, I totally understand. You know, I totally understand where you're coming from. You've got to be careful. It's your business. And then just when I was worried about that, and that was the only thing that I thought was going to ruin the shoot, she went quiet on us. And I thought, oh, God, like, she's, you know, I don't really want to keep pestering her now, because what if she's had a relapse and, I don't know, she's done something silly, or what if she's dead? I mean, I don't know her, but fucking hell, it's still, I don't want to know what's happened. And then she got back in touch with us a couple of days later, and she said, right, Paul, and I said something I never thought I'd ever say. She turned around and she says, sorry, I've been a bit quiet. There's a guy who's been in my life for a while, and he's decided that he wants to give our relationship a go and see where it goes. And she said, I've told him that I want to work with you, and he's not happy about it. So if the relationship didn't work out, would I be able to get back in contact with you? So I voice messaged her back, and I basically just said, I'm very happy that you've met someone, and I hope you're really happy, and I hope it goes well. If it doesn't, and you decide you do want to go into porn, unfortunately, it won't be with me. And what I meant by that was, if she'd have done that shoot without even having any trace of a mental health issue in the past, and she met him 2 weeks after, she'd have been straight back at me to remove that. So from the very beginning, just off that decision that she decided to make a go of someone who's just appeared out of nowhere, apparently, she's made a bad decision about getting into porn. That could come back on her, because she wasn't thinking of the future, she was thinking of the money. And it suddenly dawned on us that what I was worrying about with the mental health thing was trivial, because I got let down in an entirely different way. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
It was over a boy, nothing to do with her scars or nothing to do with her illness. So it's made us then flip it and go, no, actually, if you can only go on what they say, and if they feel like they want to do it, regardless of their past, health history, you've got to shoot them, because you can't just assume they don't know what they're consenting to, because you'd never shoot anybody.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, just what I've been thinking of recently is, I do want to get back into porn. At some point when I'm feeling better, as someone who's already done porn, I've now got to think, well, if I go on a date with a guy, I've got to say, look, I've got a mental illness, and I've done porn before. You will find me on the internet. And to be honest, I've been on a few dates where, they've been like, oh, okay, like, I don't know how I feel about it. And, it's just something that I'm going to have to constantly think about, probably for the rest of my life, to say...
Especially how you've appeared on 3 of the biggest sites in the UK.
Yeah.
So.
To be honest, I don't mind, because if they, can't accept the fact that, I've done porn before and I'm probably going to do it again, then I don't want them in my life.
Well, exactly. But, I mean, I say that all the time. They have to accept you, and if that's a big part of you, they don't accept you, and it's not an easy thing to accept. So you can never judge anyone for not being okay with it.
Yeah.
But you have to have the strength to go, right, okay, next I'll find the right him or her. Do you know what I mean? Who does understand. And I think that's that's the point, that she give up what she wanted to do for a guy who's just come into her life, and she's going to be doing that for the rest of her life. And what I was basically saying when I said it won't be with us if it goes wrong was, I'm too busy to be at people's beck and call and adjust my business around people's circumstances, because that's not what it's about. You know, I've got a long list of people who want to work with us, so why should I go back to someone who might do that again and could have still done it if a date had been set?
Yeah.
So again, it's about, because one thing I do admire about you throughout all of this, you know, stuff that you're going through, you're very strong-minded as well. Now, you might see that as a weakness, because sometimes you're strong-minded can be you trying to self-harm yourself, but I'm talking about when you're my friend and when you're in a good place, which you sound like you are today, but I can't see inside your head. Only you'll know that. But you've just said you've got the strength to walk away from someone who's not okay with anything that you do, you know, least of all porn. And that's what you've got to do, because I didn't stop looking for the right person. I mean, I've found her now.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you've got to do. But I think it's just, if time's gone by and you feel like you're like, fucking hell, I'm, you know, 27 or I'm 30 or I'm whatever, you would start to go, well, am I ever going to find them? Like, is it because I'm doing this, and do I have to stop it to ever be happy? And I think people starting worry unnecessarily about time's running out. But like, how do you explain two people getting married when they meet in the 60s?
Yeah.
It's like, it can happen anytime. Why do you have to assume that you find your true love when you're young? Because you don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always time.
And I think, to be honest, if I met someone and, you know, it was going really well, if he said, look, I understand that you've done porn before, I understand that you might do porn again, I'm not sure how I feel about it, I'd say, well, look, we can compromise. You know, I won't do anal, and I'll do, you know, other types of porn instead. You know, there's loads of different ways that you can compromise with a partner or a future partner in porn and still do porn. So, you know, like, I mean, I'm not going to say I will stop for you, but I will say, you know, well, I won't stick two dicks in my arse, but, you know, I might stick one in.
Yeah, so again, if they're happy for you to do it, you then say, right, what is the worst part about what I do that you don't like us doing? Now, sometimes they say, well, you can't fuck guys. You can fuck other girls, but you can't fuck guys. And it's like, you know, that's still allowing you to do your job, but you probably would say, yeah, but boy-girl pays more, boy-girl's more popular, boy-girl career-wise puts you on the ladder higher, and then that would be a problem. But if they just said, no kissing, save the kissing for me and you can do anything else, you can kiss them on the dick, you can do anything. They can kiss you on the pussy, but you can't kiss them on the lips, not the way you kiss me. And you'd be like, right, okay, fine. And that's all sometimes it needs, just a few ground rules.
Yeah, definitely.
Where do you see yourself in this conversation now? Like, how do you feel today? I've never asked you yet.
I'm all right today, to be honest. I was really, really excited about getting to speak to you tonight.
And being on a podcast that's killing the competition by 10k.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's speaking to my bestie about something that I'm passionate about, and about dicks as well, occasionally, which, you know, I'm also passionate about.
Yep.
So, you know, it's a win-win for me.
So, when you have a good day like this, is part of, obviously, the way you are, and that was no cure for it, are you reveling in this moment now that today's a good day, regardless of what's caused it? You've obviously said why you're happy, but, you know, something entirely different might make you happy tomorrow. Do you just never think about it? Like, obviously, you never say, oh, fuck, I hope I'm like this tomorrow. Do you just take each day as it comes? Is that what's part of dealing with it is, where you just go, I hope I get another good day tomorrow, but I'm not going to be scared about having a bad day. I'll worry about that if it happens.
Yeah, massively. I mean, sometimes I get manic. So sometimes I will get to the point where I will be too good, you know, I'll be too hyper, too upbeat, spending too much money, drinking too much alcohol. You know, it'll be like I'm constantly wired on something.
Yeah, how are you feeling, by the way? How's the head?
How's the head?
Yeah, not mental health, I mean fucking hangover.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. I haven't had a bad hangover in ages.
Because when you said that you're hungover and I saw that picture of your face, I was like, oh, she's doing a sad kitty face. That's what melts everybody. So we fucked now. Like the podcast's not happening now.
Well, just Photoshop a dick next to my mouth, and then I'll do the sad kitty face with a dick next to my mouth, and it'll be all cute.
Yeah, I feel so much better for talking to you, and you know how I always say, because it does help me as well. I think talking to the person who isn't very well helps the person who cares about the person who's not very well, if that makes sense. It's like therapy for both sides, even though people would say the person with the mental health needs the therapy more. But sometimes, I don't know, I think I've talked to you as personal as I ever have, and we've done on a fucking podcast. That's a bit weird.
I know. Well, you know what, like, as I say, you know, like I don't feel awkward about talking about things. And I think sometimes, you know, you or maybe my parents or my friends will have questions about mental health, and you'll think, ooh, can I ask this? Like, is this stepping over the line, or is it, you know, is it okay?
Well, I'm never going to worry about upsetting you ever again, because I used to do it even before you were diagnosed with a mental health issue. Like, sometimes I really do put my fucking foot in it, and I just say what's in my head. But because you know that about me, I think you know to take things with a pinch of salt, where you go, fucking hell, Paul, I'm sure he didn't realise he's fucking said that. Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? But I don't mean it. And, you know, I was worried about asking the wrong questions with this, but now I know that I can ask you and you can just answer us, because you know I'm not an expert, and you know I'm a little bit fucking thick about this type of thing. So I'm probably asking really stupid questions, but if I can ask you questions about this, I can ask you questions about anything.
Yeah.
Because you can't go as deep as a conversation about someone who's at the minute not very well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you know, we've all said that we've always been close. You know, you'll send us a picture of your landing strip and I'll send a picture of mine back. So, you know, now we've spoken about what's going on in my head. You know, it's like a new boundary, would you call it?
Well, it's a new chapter in our friendship, I think, because it's a bit more open, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one.
And obviously the next chapter is like opening a t-shirt shop, isn't it?
A warehouse.
Yeah, because we've got fucking mega fucking sayings. You can't wear them in public, these t-shirts, but they're fucking brilliant, aren't they?
No, we're definitely going to wear them in public. Like when the plumber's coming round or something.
Seriously, you know what I think we should do? When we meet up for a drink, which we must fucking do soon, man, we have to have like a little dust films, like Christmas night out or something. I think we need to get two. You pick one of your favourites and I'll pick one of your favourites. And I think we need to wear it as a t-shirt when we out.
That would be amazing.
It'll just be random shit that, like, people will read it and, like, just the look on people's faces when they go, what the fuck? If you can't shoot your cum all over your best friend's face, who can you? What the fuck does that mean? Do you know what I mean? I just think it'd be funny.
Yeah, I think that'll probably get more looks than my dancing in a short skirt.
What was that one I said about, what the fuck was it? I said one about it's not porn if you haven't got a dick in your mouth or something. What was it? And you wanted to make a dance track of it. The fuck was that? We should write these down, you know, because we think they're brilliant when we first come out with them, and then you forget.
No, I've remembered it. You're not a producer unless you've had balls in your face.
That's the one. That's the one. That. I mean, you can even imagine the testicles as like the L's in the fucking slogan, can't you?
Yeah.
Like proper low hanging ones, you know what I mean? With veins in. But I'll tell you what, speaking of landing strips, I've done away with them. I've suddenly realised that if I shave every day, even when I don't need to, I don't get a shaving mash at all. But I do if I have a landing strip. So what I do now is I severely like use the trimmer to keep my pubes at a nice like stubbly level, and then I just like It's weird. I've got like a fucking like an N shape. I've got like a circle where the baldness starts and the hair ends. I'll have to send you another picture. It's hard to fucking explain. But yeah, it's a lot easier to manage.
You've got an N shape. You know what? You should like do the Nerd Pervert logo in your pubes.
Oh, that means I'd have to grow them out for ages because you'd need to do like the cross eyes in the logo to the glasses and stuff, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So, have you got any advice for anybody else who might be going through what you're going through? I mean, obviously, sometimes the person with the mental health issue doesn't feel like they are equipped at giving advice because, they're still going through treatment and they're not quite the self yet. But like, you're on a really good day today. So looking back over the bad days, what would you say somebody should do if they feel like there's something not quite right, but they haven't been diagnosed yet?
Well, you know what? I'm going to sort of steer this towards, specifically the porn industry.
Right.
Because, it's a porn podcast, so I may as well, do it like that. I started to struggle, camming daily, and that's when I realised that I probably wouldn't be able to make it to certain shoots. I was very hard on myself, and I think the advice that I'd give to, girls and boys in the porn industry, but, also producers in the porn industry, it's self-employment and you will be hard on yourself because it's your life, basically, and you don't need to do that. You can take a break for however long you want and sort your shit out and come back to it when you feel better. But, do try and utilise all of the services that NHS has got. They're not great at the moment, but they're better than nothing.
But do you think that even though the services aren't up to scratch, do you think the more people who use them, it's going to force them to get up to scratch because the more experienced they're going to be at dealing with it? Because when you think about it, mental health's like a special type of doctor. It's not a doctor that does operations. It's a one who studies the human psyche. So how many of them in the NHS will there be? There can't be many specialists, can there?
You know what? There can't be. I spoke to the police a few days ago, and they said that 80% of their police call-outs are mental health related. And it makes you realise that, if there was more mental health awareness and more mental health doctors, then the police would be getting, to do things with criminals rather than, jobs that doctors should be doing.
Yeah. So what about, do you feel like you've seen somebody at least once, even if you wish you could see them again, who you think this person could really help me because they seem like the most knowledgeable so far? Have you actually had any evidence that anyone from the NHS or the crisis team actually is qualified enough? Because why would you not have someone qualified just because it's a free service? That's not your choice as a patient. It's the way the fucking government runs our health service.
Yeah, it's very difficult and it's very frustrating. It's all about finding someone who you personally click with because, they're trained to be able to say certain things and they're trained to deal with certain situations, but every personality type is different. So, someone answers the phone to you and says, "What up, Paul? I hear you having a shitty day. Do you want to talk to me about it?" And you might answer the phone and go, "Fuck off, no." But it's all about you finding that one person who will answer the phone and go, "I know that you don't want to talk about it, so do you want to watch YouTube with us instead?"
So you can tell you my bestie because what you said I would say down the phone is what I would say. I'd say about anyway.
Yeah.
Well done. You passed the test.
And there's been a couple that I've seen. I think the issue is that, when you're seeing the crisis team and when you're seeing the psych liaison team, it is totally random people that you see. You will probably never see the same person twice, which is an entire part of frustration and stress. But
so do you feel that the they're just getting in contact because they have to be seen to be doing something rather than it actually helping you, just because that would make them look even worse if they just went, well, fucking hell, I'm not trained to fucking go and talk to her. Just fucking ring her up and ask her if she's having a nice day. Do you feel like there's like some of that going on more than that you feel like you are getting the help that you need because they're not qualified the way they should be and it's just basically them going through the motions sort of thing?
I think it's a sort of difficult one because dealing with a personality disorder is, it's deep therapy. Someone is going to be looking into tiny little bits of my brain, and for that I need one person to do it. I need like one psychiatrist, and at the moment, because I'm seeing the crisis team and they can't get the same person to see me, they can't really do anything more than check up on me because, nothing's going to go forward by me seeing different people. They're not going to get the same sort of consistency.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a bit like when you were at school. If you kept changing your teacher, you didn't really sometimes take to their teaching methods. So it's like it makes sense that you would stay with the same psychiatrist. If they can't even at least offer that, then it's going to take doubly long to get you sorted, isn't it?
Yeah, massively. And it's coming on to 8 months now that I've been on the waiting list for a proper psychiatrist so I can start proper therapy. So it's long and it's tired. But
do you think that's NHS lack of funding, or do you think it's the NHS lack of understanding about mental health, or do you think it's that there's that many people you do just get put on a waiting list, and because you're number 64 in this area, other people who's higher on the list with mental health issues get dealt with first? But like, surely we don't queue someone and go, right, next, where's the next patient? Because obviously you need to be able to see multiple patients at multiple times, otherwise the list will never go down, will it?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's lack of funding. I think as far as personality disorders go, I think that there is some sort of struggle to understand them still. So you could. I feel like crisis teams, they understand depression a lot more than they understand a personality disorder, because depression is a lot more consistent.
Yeah.
So, it is quite a difficult one to sort of move forward with, really, but funding is definitely a massive problem.
But it is with everything, and I suppose, it's weird, isn't it, how the NHS as a whole hasn't got the budget that it should have, yet mental health in some cases is more serious, because like, if you can wait to have your operation to get your appendix out because you're not that bad that's going to fucking kill you, and then someone's constantly trying to commit suicide, and I mean, you've done it, but like, you've done it in ways where you can come back from it where, it hasn't happened, thank God, where, if someone decides to jump off a bridge, you can't change your mind halfway down. But you can take an overdose and luckily not take enough that it doesn't kill you. I mean, is that the goal when you do it though? Like, have you actually because I mean, you can't have taken enough to even give you long-term health problems otherwise, because I've read stories of people taking an overdose and then, they go into a coma for fucking 2 weeks and then they wake up and the doctor says like, you're still with us. However, I've got some bad news. You are dying because you've taken that much of an overdose that your organs are shutting down, and then they fucking regret it because they've got time to ponder their decision, and if they're not in that right frame of mind, it's too late then. So when you have sort of done that type of thing, have you just done it to calm the anxiety down and to make the feeling go away, to knock yourself out, or have you tried to physically kill yourself? If you don't mind us asking, by the way.
Yes, I've tried to actually end my life. I think it's more just fluke, the fact that I haven't. I've got to the point where my organs have been, in is jeopardy maybe the right word?
Yeah.
That, you know, the doctors were worried that I would have kidney damage long term, but luckily I don't.
Good. Because again, you know, if you end up on the road to recovery the way we all hope you do, and that was one of the last side effects, that your mental health is sort of caged for a while and kept at bay, but your physicalities of your body has shown its toll on what you tried to do. You know, it's like you're not going to get a break because it's one thing after another, isn't it?
Yeah.
So fortunately for you, you haven't gone over that line yet.
Yeah.
Hope you never do, because obviously, you know, you'll have to leave your shares of a t-shirt company to me because I'm your partner in it.
I know, and then you probably won't remember them all.
No, exactly. I need you to tell us what they are. Can't believe I forgot that one.
I'm shocked. That was the best one. You even made a song about it.
Yeah, I did. I'd even had a fucking catchy little riff behind it, didn't it?
Do 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 do.
Yeah, exactly. That was it. Yep. See, just something simple. You don't have to overdo it. Just needs a beat behind the catchphrase. That's all it needs.
Yeah, so if there's anyone out there who, you know, are really good at beats and music, then, you know, we can make a single here.
I'll tell you what, right, honestly, right, anybody who listens, if anyone's a DJ or any type of musician, right, let's just be quiet a minute. You're not a producer until you've had balls in your face. There you go. Take that out and do whatever you want and send them in and we'll play it on the podcast.
Yeah.
Please do it. It'll be amazing. We'll even make it the new theme tune to be opening of the show if you can do it.
Oh, yes. Please do that.
So, Kitty, I want to thank you very much for talking to the UK Porn Podcast. Obviously, I've asked some difficult questions, but some of them have been my own and some of them have been what I've seen other people's reactions to mental health, you know, and lack of understanding, which I've always had the lack of understanding. I feel like I know it a little bit more now just off talking to you like this, and I don't know why it's taking a podcast to do it. We could have just met up and done this at any time.
I know, but hey, now we've got a podcast now, other people can hopefully learn from it as well.
Well, I hope it helps people from both sides, though, that if you're like me, who you feel like you're treading on eggshells all the time, which I'm not now I've discussed it with you, it feels like a big weight's being lifted off my shoulders. And then from your side, of someone who might be suffering with something similar, hopefully they can see both sides of a relationship, which is what it is, isn't it? It's you making me understand and me making you understand about my thoughts and lack of understanding of it.
Yeah.
And just talk. That's all you've got to do. Just talk to each other.
Just talk. That can be in the song as well.
So you do realise that even if you don't listen to my messages, I'm going to just leave you a message daily again. Because
that's awesome. That's okay with me.
Sometimes if you're on your own, you might just need to hear a load of bollocks.
Especially if they're in my face.
Exactly. And dangling down over your eyes and that. So, but yeah, exactly. It's like sometimes I never thought of that you don't always have to get a reply from the person who you're asking about. They just need to hear your voice. You poor bitch if you need to hear mine, but never mind, there's thoughts there. But you know what I mean? So sometimes I think that's all it takes. It's just, you don't have to understand, but just be there for them. And and as long as they know that you are there for them, it makes what they're going through just that little bit more culpable, if that's a thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, well, Kitty, hopefully we'll see you back at Dusk Towers soon. And we hope, on behalf of everyone on the UK Porn Podcast and all our listeners, that you make a speedy recovery.
I will, and I will be back on my knees before you know it.
Get in. Right, catch you later, darling.
All right, bye.
Bye. I just want to say, I did ask some pretty probing questions there, which, you know, she answered really, really well. So they weren't all my views, they were what I saw people asking her.
Yeah.
The people who don't understand, and also hypothetically, you know, what would you say to people who think this and who think that? But I think that was good for me because I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Because I'm really shit with it. Like, anybody who listens to that who thinks I'm an insensitive prick, I am. but not in a malicious way.
He just doesn't know how to go about
I don't know how to deal with it, especially when she's a friend and you can't really help them.
Yeah.
And especially when she dealt with the fact that the NHS they're not very well trained on it, and that's the only service we've got here. So it's all right sending crisis teams out to people, but if it's not helping, you know, and then they're just going, oh, well, just ring us if you feel like this again. Well, it's like, fucking hell. So, you know, I'm not having to go to the NHS. You obviously do a good job, but there's probably not a widespread, country-wide section in each hospital that deals with it. And if it's not in your area, it can be a bit dangerous. So some of the questions I was asking was curiosity, lack of understanding, and literally I don't get it. And I still stand by what I said to her, that I think the people who generally do need the help are the people who really have it.
Yeah.
But I think it's that widespread. I still don't believe it is that widespread. Because what's causing it? Why wasn't it widespread 20 years ago? It's still the same chemical imbalance in the brain.
I mean, the argument is 20 years ago, people just didn't know how to like. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like I'm like you, like I don't suffer from like kind of mental health issues or anything, so it's hard to relate.
Yeah, but the thing is, could we though? Have we got a limit? Could I snap and could you snap?
Yeah, who knows, man.
But you see, she said she had it from a very young age.
Yeah.
And it was just never diagnosed properly.
Yeah.
So could you be born with it? You know, or is it that life hands you a few bad cards and it's how you deal with grief, death, you know, whatever brings it on, stress of losing that, you know, a marriage breakup, whatever.
Yeah.
Like loads of stuff could bring something on. And, you know, maybe we should never say never. That maybe anyone can be tipped. Do you know what I mean? I mean, do you want to briefly talk about it, Craig, like in all seriousness, like you've had a spout of like anxiety now, haven't you?
Aye, yeah. It's like, say when I get really stressed or something, work or whatever, then it's just like goes around in a circle. Like it's not just me, like a lot of people sort of gone through the same, where you just go in, like you get stressed and you get anxiety and you can't sleep, and it just goes around in circles like that, and it just gets worse until you get it sorted out.
But how long have you had that though? Because obviously you must have kept that to yourself, because we've only just found out about that, and that was with your last spout of like mental health and stuff.
But once before, that was just because I was dead stressed.
But do you think you're naturally a stressy person? Because me and James think that you are. We think that like you seem to panic over what we think is trivial things, but sometimes the trivial things building up that could probably set you away. And it doesn't have to be a really bad thing, like a massive catastrophic, like...
Sometimes it's
you know what I mean?
Sometimes it's a build-up of stuff, and then sometimes it's just one big thing that can hit you. So it's either something you haven't been sorting out and you just let it pile up, or it's just something big's happened, like you say.
So, right, and this is not me taking the piss, this is me being serious.
Yeah.
Could something like you wash it, I'm not joking, and say, like, you know, little things like that that's like just piss you off, can be like the final straw that breaks the camel's back on other things that were going on as well? Like, can it be even something really stupid that can just be the final weight where you go, fucking hell?
It can be. Like,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like when people just snap and just, I don't know, when they get, like, say when someone gets angry with someone or something, but then one little thing they do again is just literally can set it off.
Yeah.
Well, you never know, like, anyone could get it. You just don't never.
So when you said you've had it once before this recent time, how long ago was that?
About 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm lucky that actually it's not common.
It's like
me, but some people have it. Like,
well, that's actually quite good, because some people, I mean, they reckon there's no cure for it. Some medication can treat it depending on what you've got. Again, thanks to Kitty's, you know, useful information. And some people, like her condition, it's treatable through therapy, but you have to keep having it. So there's no tablet that can really help her. So obviously, I suppose, well, no one's looking to have mental health, but if you're going to have it at all, yours seems to be very, very few and far between.
Yeah,
and obviously, it sounds like it's sorted with medication as well.
You just like,
you know, because obviously your medication seems to be putting you on an even keel now, doesn't it? So
I mean,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like when you're in that situation, or people are in that situation, they just think nothing's ever going to work, and that's when people get, like, I suppose, suicidal sort of thing, because they just think nothing's ever going to change. But I mean, they do a really good job, the NHS and that as well, and it's like literally tablets combined. So
did you have a good experience of the treatment that you had then?
They're brilliant, because they're so helpful and kind of.
See, because you know, like Kitty didn't, but she was more the crisis thing, because that was suicide attempts, where you were never that bad, or at least, well, if you were, you haven't told us you were.
But
you know, so
yeah, but it's sort of they bring you back from that level if you get that far into it. But like you say, it takes a few weeks for, like, antidepressants to kick in anyway, so you think nothing's ever going to make a change. When I first signed up, I was like, this is just, nothing's working, but if you stick to it, then it does, it seems. But like I say, everyone's different now.
So how, you said it takes a while to go in your system, but how long did you just wake up one day and go, fucking hell, I feel alright? Or was it like, or did you just gradually not notice, just each day got easier until it went away?
Yeah, just like suddenly, it took a couple of weeks, I just thought this is never going to work, and then you got like talking therapy where you just talk through your problems, and then I think it was just sort of dealing with it and write them down and thinking of solutions for it helps, and then like I say one day I just started sleeping better and I was fine again, you know, so it's just a process.
I mean, me and James has always said, like, you know, if we ever got it, we'd be fucked because we don't talk about now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, but maybe if things get so bad, maybe if things get so bad, you would, because you would have to, because if it's affecting your health, you know, you shouldn't keep it buried in so hard. Be a fucking really bad person to have mental health.
I'm not fucking telling anybody now. Guy, and that's why guys would talk about it, and then you get right to breaking point, then you have to go and see the doctor, and then you shouldn't, if you feel it coming, like if you hate your job or something and you're just going down and down and down, you need to like nip it early, otherwise you'll end up at that stage if you just carry on in a job you hate.
So do you reckon if anybody was stressed, everyone would, if they didn't like try and deal with it, could end up in that situation?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's what, like, I've never had anything as bad as, say, like bipolar and schizophrenia and all these ones. I didn't really understand how it worked, so I read into it, and apparently it's literally because you've got that stress and anxious and stuff, that's what set that off. So it could, if you just don't deal with your problems, and my problem is like just leaving stuff and forgetting about it and then letting it pile up. If you just get on with it and do it, it's a lot easier. But the thing is, in 10 years it's happened again. So really, you owe it to yourself. Or if you ever feel that's happening again, don't bottle it up and don't ignore it. Oh, exactly.
Because then you could prevent it from happening. You obviously sound like you sometimes get the early telltale signs of it, where Kitty can wake up happy like she was today when I spoke to her, but tomorrow she could be in another dark place because it's that quick with her. But everyone's different. Everyone's got different symptoms. You know what I mean?
Sort of got to know what sort of would set it off, I suppose. If you sort of
sometimes you don't know though, do you? That's why you've got to talk about it, I suppose.
Yeah, it depends on the mental.
Find the triggers.
Yeah. Well, that's what she said. She kept mentioning triggers. That's what they refer it to. But you see, I admire her about speaking. The reason why we did it was because she wanted to talk about, because she is in the porn industry. I know she hasn't been for very long, and she wasn't for very long after having a bout of mental illness, which is still going through. But you know, a lot of people seem to talk about having mental illness in the porn industry, and that's why I was talking about my fees about it, saying, well, you know, for a company, for me, I worry about people thinking the wrong thing of me by saying, well, did you prey on her because she was weak-minded? It was the only reason why she did it was because she wasn't well. You know, that's why I talked about the scars. You know, if I get that on, some feminist is going to possibly, I'm not saying they would, but that's what I told her I worry about. Getting somebody in that's got scars, even if they are well and they've never done it for 10 years, scars are scars. Sometimes you can't get rid of them. And people could pick up on that, and they always want to already hate you in porn, you know, for being a porn producer and shit. And the feminists don't agree with it. So I didn't want to be in a situation where, you know, someone said, fucking hell, he shot that poor girl when she's having an episode, where it's like, well, no, she didn't, but it might look like she had because she's still got the scars on the outside, because that's something you can see. So as a producer, I worry about being perceived as someone who, you know, goes after people to be in my scenes, because I think they're easy to talk into it because they've got mental health. You just understand what I mean? People would draw that conclusion.
Yeah, some definitely.
If not with me, with somebody else.
I think every time you go through it, you get strongly learn things from it. Like, one of my friends, he's never gone, like, used to, he's never really had any problems like that, and he's completely sound-minded, but he's split with his partner. Like, they've been together for 3 years, like a couple of days before their anniversary, and he just wouldn't even get out of bed or anything. It's like proper, like, messed up. So, like, say, even people that you never think would happen to, suddenly the next day they're like literally just can't even get out of bed. Because there's nothing, you know what I mean, he's lost everything, nothing like his partner and that. So I suppose that could happen to anyone, you never know. So.
I suppose so. Well, it's interesting to hear your point on it, like, obviously, because, you know, it's like, you know, we've had Kitty and then we've had, obviously, you. So, like I say, that's what this episode mainly is about. It's like a bit of a serious one. But, you know, this is a UK porn podcast. We do talk about the issues in UK porn, and that's obviously a thing at the minute, isn't it? So, you know what I mean? So one more bit of news, right? Now this is interesting. It's not really news, it's an observation I've seen on Twitter, right? So, you know, we've talked about content share where girls tend to prefer content share to paid work now. Some of them prefer it and some of them just do it because there isn't that many studios around anymore. And Kiki Minaj was talking about it on Twitter, and then people like Eva Austin joined in, and who else? And Harmony Rain, and they were all saying that they take the work when it comes in because it's in such short supply. They sort of use that as a promotional thing,
yeah,
and then they use that to still have every intent and purpose of shooting their own stuff and selling direct. Now, obviously, we've touched on the content share and the benefits of you continue to earn on content share where you only get paid a one-off fee if you work for a company. And these girls, I would say, are pretty well known in the business. They're not just girls starting out webcamming.
Yeah, no.
They've worked for big companies. They've worked for more companies when more companies were around and they've had to adjust to it. And Harmony Rains was saying on Twitter that she's quadrupled her income by doing a combination of all those things. Female empowerment, you can't get much more than that.
No, not at all.
So, feminists have a go at trying to talk them out of saying that they're wrong and they've been fucking talked into buying porn producers because they're working for themselves. They're literally their own brand, their own production studio. They
make their own decisions.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, well, exactly. So that they won't work with anyone content share wise that they don't want to because they're in complete control. Now, obviously, not particularly commenting on those ladies' quality of content. I haven't seen it, but there will still be with any model different levels of quality. Yeah. Now that's why I think us as a studio can offer that, as a production house. You could say now that we are just male performers shooting for content and hoping to sell it to make money because, maybe studios are dying off. I still see myself as a studio because obviously I've always marketed myself as that all over the 17 years I've been here, but I have to move with the times. Now maybe I jumped into the content share a little bit too early, because we did it from a helping the girls' point of view and we saw how shit some of the stuff was, where they were just getting a random editor and camera guy who's never done it before and thinking now it's so easy to put together, and the stuff wasn't selling. So we thought, well, as a experienced production house, we could offer that. But even if we didn't go into it when we did, we're well into it now because that's what people are really asking about. So, what do you think on that? Like, I know we've mentioned this before, but I'm trying to come at it from a different angle, how it's actually improving girls' incomes more than working for paid work.
Well, I'm at the point where I would prefer to have content share because I know that's always going to be making money. And then obviously when you do have the other gigs where they pay you, that's just like kind of getting your name out of it. It all works together.
Yeah. So,
and at the end of the day, the bigger you get, you're going to want more content because it's always going to be working for you. Whereas that one-off, like 300, 600 quid or whatever, if you're like a woman, like, you could make 10 times more than that with content share.
Yeah. No, you're right.
But you have to be like a good businessman, businesswoman,
promoter
in order to like kind of
you have
get
to
to
actually
that point.
Work for your money.
Exactly, yeah. Like it's not just going to come to you for now.
Exactly, you have to actually make the effort to put it out there.
Those well-known girls who I mentioned are obviously business women. You can tell they are by the way they talk, and you can tell that they do put the effort in.
Yeah.
That's why we're seeing results, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have to work. The adult industry's always been hard. Like even when we don't have the things that we're facing now, and I won't go into that now, but it was always hard before. It was easier than it is now, looking back, but at the time when we didn't know what the future holded, where it was going to be harder, it was still hard to us back then, because if you weren't an expert at getting traffic to a website, and it's still the same now for those of us who still only have a website, and there's not many of us left who do, you still need to know it's a numbers game, and affiliates and my American partners certainly know what they do and they know how to bring money in. And I think it's like everything, isn't it? It's like you can torrent a Hollywood film, but if you fucking love it, you'll want the Blu-ray of it. At least I do. I've got a Blu-ray full there, but I've got more films that aren't on that shelf. But they're the ones that I rate. They're the ones I wanted to own, like with pride. And one thing that annoys me about the torrent side, and I'm not condoning this, by the way, and even Netflix, and I pay for that, right? When they put a film on, put the fucking special features on. I like watching how they make things. There's some people are not interested, but I am. And even when they torrent them, they only torrent the film. Now, obviously, when something's a DVD screener or it's got Korean subtitles on, that's all they've got, the film. But eventually that can be replaced by the film when it comes out, because then you can rip it. So I don't understand even why Netflix doesn't, like the Civil War, for instance, is on Netflix. Where's the special features at? That's going to make me still buy it just because I like to see how they make it more. Because I'm a filmmaker myself. I learn from things like that, believe it or not. The amount of things I've watched and put in Nerd Pervert, which you wouldn't think has come from anywhere, but it's in my head. And I learn off that. It fascinates me. How someone can run in front of a green screen and then it looks ridiculous when you see the camera crew. And then when you watch it, there's a fucking spaceship crashing behind them and a big explosion. It's fucking clever, man. You know what I mean? Some people don't get into it that much and they just like to be entertained and watch the movie. But sometimes if I've seen the movie at the cinema and I buy it, the first thing that goes on is the special features, not the fucking movie. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't advise watching special features before you've seen the movie, by the way, because they talk about
spoilers,
talking about writing the script, storyboarding it, special effects, costume design, casting and shit like that. So sometimes, like, I mean, you could even watch special features on a casting and then go, oh, that was a twist. He popped up at the end. I didn't even fucking know he was in the film. So you should stay away from everything until you've seen the film. But what do you guys feel? Do you just watch the movies, or do you like watching how it's made? Or
no, I like watching all the special features and stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like it when they have like people in like prosthetics and stuff. I like.
I love that
watching
when they make people look.
Yeah, I like that. I must admit.
Special features on American Werewolf in London are fucking mega. Like, I mean, it's mega in the film anyway, but when you see what Rick Baker had to do, and you break all the shots down, and it's just all latex makeup that, you know, had paws and skin, like, you know, modelled into the moulds to make it just that extra level of realism. I mean, even now, it does look dated, I suppose, compared to what you can do now, but there's still something more horrifying about it because it's physically there on camera.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I still don't know why we don't do a mixture of the two.
You know, like Jurassic Park, like when they used to have the actual things close up and they were like the hand ones.
Do a real
more
animatronics.
realistic than the fakey. Like same with like Planet of the Apes. I don't know. It's preferred.
Practical effects are always looking much better. Because it's fucking.
Mind you saying that though, the new Planet of the Apes got to a fucking impressive standard.
Well, yeah,
didn't he?
Good standards, good. Yeah.
No, but like you didn't feel like that was CGI. He never said, I wish it was an actor in makeup. I didn't feel that. I
suppose.
Do you mean? Fucking me.
It's one of them things where right now it looks fucking amazing.
Yeah, but it won't.
10 years' time we'll be like, how the fuck did we think that looked good?
Well, to be honest with you, if you watch the second one and third one, the first one doesn't look very good now. If you watch Caesar and that, it's very plastic looking. Do you know what I mean?
If you see like I Am Legend, I think those zombies look so fake compared to say like The Walking Dead. It looks so much more gory when they use the
I never understood why they went for CGI zombies in that movie. It made no fucking sense. It would have been cheaper.
Exactly.
I mean, The Walking Dead, right? I've gone off and I don't watch anymore. It's fucking boring. But you have to admit, in its prime, it was fucking nail biting, right?
Season 2.
It just got season 2 on the farm and everything. That was fucking mint. That Herschel and shit. But I'll tell you what, right? But you cannot knock. Even now, it's not very good, and we don't watch it. The level of authenticity. I mean, it looks like a fucking feature film every week.
Yeah.
Even, you know, and the zombies, like you say, Craig, are fucking amazing. It looks. Yeah, that should have been in I Am Legend. I don't understand why they didn't do that. That's stupid. But yeah.
Moving on.
Proper horny porn talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds really good.
I didn't even get in mind. I was going to say, like...
Where's the special effects in porn?
Nah, like, fuck all that. I was going to go on about, like, special features. Directors' commentaries and stuff. I'm a fucking sucker for all that stuff.
I am and all. What's the full 2.5
Shaun
hour
of the
film
Dead
talking about?
has, like, 7 different commentaries on that film.
By the way, doesn't matter how many times she says
brilliant.
moving on, we'll keep on talking about it. That's what she says she's getting bored.
Like actors, I thought you were going to go like special, like, oh, what is it? Like,
you can tell them in the group
special
guys.
Do you know how sad I am? There's some YouTube film reviewers, who I admire their opinion on movies, and they do director's commentaries.
All right.
So obviously they can't show the movie because it's copyright.
Yeah.
So you've just literally got to press play on that and put the movie on.
Do you know what? I do a similar thing.
That's quite cool. That and then it runs in time in the movie.
Yeah,
I like that.
But mine's like it's a group of people from Giant Bomb that I love listening to, and they'll get it's called Film in 40s. So they get pissed, watch a movie, and just like kind of talk over it. Fucking brilliant.
Quality.
I love it.
Is it funny as well?
It's proper fucking hilarious.
Send us a link to that. I'll probably
they do like
enjoy that.
either like proper shite movies, or they'll do things like, and now like they did all the Fast and the Furious.
See,
thing.
the proper shite movies will probably be better.
Yeah,
because I've watched some
really
commentaries on
fucking
YouTube
good.
where they shit, and they having a beer, but they're not pissed, and they take the piss. Like one person will sound funny in the movie, and then one of them will just talk in that voice all the time and take the piss, and it's quite funny actually.
It's fucking brilliant.
It's like I watched a commentary on the Nicholas Hammond Spider-Man series of the 70s, and they used to put. It was a TV show that went for 2 seasons, and they stuck it together.
Right.
It wasn't very good, but it's because it's engraved in my childhood. You sort of can't let it go. And they used to stick episodes together and make a movie. So there was 3 Spider-Man movies in the 70s, but they were really TV episodes stuck together.
Right.
Like basically 2 and 3 parters, so you go an hour and a half movie out of it. And Oliver Harper and his mates were fucking watching it. And because they were like over the top Brooklyn accents, because it was like Spider-Man's in New York, one of them just every time they're saying "can't," they kept calling out. He kept going, "Get out of here over there! I'll fuck your mother!" And every time he said it, they were all just fucking burst out laughing, and you just have to watch it. It's really funny. Do you know what I mean? So, I was going to say it's the last part of the fucking show, but it's not. You're the second off last now because James has got his bit.
I've been replaced. I'm not last anymore.
Scarlet Grey. Sex fact of the week, if you please.
Okay then. Now, it says here, August and September are the months with the highest level of sexual activity.
So, how do we know that?
They must have
because
done a
of when
poll.
everyone's born, that'll be.
So, maybe.
What's
Babies.
9 months after August and September? That'll be when the vast majority of people are born.
Because it's a bit too hot for shagging at that fucking time of year.
See, in August,
It's getting cold
baby.
in the house, cooling up.
He's a September one.
Oh, there you can see. So we had like proper horny people around about winter. Yeah.
I didn't have fucking horny people. Mum only did it once, damn mate.
Oh, just the ones
Boring
there.
bastard.
You got all that time off at Christmas to shag with me.
Yeah, exactly,
A
man.
lot of people are off.
Definitely.
I had all
like
that time off
horny
over the
around
summer and I
about-
wasn't adding
Exactly,
to that statistic. I wasn't fucking bitches.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. That's a bit of a
You're
shit
just shagging
one.
all
that.
year round though, aren't you?
Well,
I just don't really believe it.
no,
Like,
yeah, no.
But then again,
sounds
that's
a bit
just because I'm
disbelief.
No,
Believable,
but
doesn't
like,
it?
forget the sex fact for a minute, right? The amount of times you hear a poll or research says this is a statistic of so many people do this or so many people did this in a certain time period.
Yeah.
It's like, where have you getting this from? Don't tell us what the fucking percentages are and what it is. Where did you get it?
There must have
And
either
they just
done
say
a poll
a
or
research.
like
Yeah.
a
It'll be like
questionnaire
a-
or
like
something.
An academic
Yes.
study, and it's like, fuck off.
1,000 people.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah.
No, you ask
Yeah.
10 people and you fucking magnify the fucker. That's what you do. That's what the government do. The government fucking fuck about our votes and say that we don't get to see the votes come in, do we? For anything. We just get told which party's in. And you see people counting votes. But that could have
It's
been
the same
fucking filmed
video
2 weeks
every
ago.
You're very much
Same lady
conspiracy
counting the votes every
theorist.
year.
Well, no, but
Reviews
I'm a
the
big
footage.
believer that the government's supposed to work for us, but they don't. They just do what they want.
It's just that whoever's the richest gets in power. Isn't it?
How on earth did we move on to government from
I don't
sex
know.
fact, please?
Because the government give us statistics based on what we're supposed to report.
I know
for.
how we got there, but I'm trying
Well, why
to
did you ask
say
how we got there? If you knew how we got there, why did you ask us?
We'll go
because
we'll go off topic too
I
easily
couldn't
then.
believe
A
it.
bit like-
But it's still linked. It's still linked. What I'm saying is,
Go serious.
whatever statistic on any topic, you can't trust it because it's information shoved at you from an intent of getting you to believe that statistic.
Biased source.
Well, yes, I've over-explained it. That's exactly right.
Smart.
A biased source. Yeah, exactly. So if I wanted to say a statistic that I wanted you to believe, I could make it up. So I could say...
The only way that it would be realistic is if I went out to loads of people down in Durham and said to them, oh, can you fill out this questionnaire, or can you answer this, and basically get like 1,000 people to answer like a question that we want answering. Nah, you ain't gonna do that, you can fuck off.
Well, they reckon they do that, but everyone else...
It is exactly right, though. Like, don't trust anything unless you do it yourself.
Yeah, basically.
Exactly. If you don't do it with your dick, then you didn't fuck them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm basically saying. Right, well that's fucking that end of that one then.
Yeah.
Fucking shit, that one.
Oh, shut up.
Right,
It's still a fact.
Right, so James, do not follow us up with a shit product.
Oh,
right?
you're going to be so disappointed.
Oh, no.
This is purposely that I brought in a shit one.
This might be quite funny though.
Did you ring them up and go, me sex facts really shit today, back us up? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but the shit ones are usually the funniest.
Yeah, Mary's. So this
Why
one...
give this shit away? It doesn't work.
I just think it's... Right. I sell so fucking many of these in my shop. It's insane.
Butt plug like?
Kinda. But like, you seen that? Like, what the...
Tiny.
It's barely even the size of my pinky.
You've got to start
Right.
off small.
Yeah, but like, my first anal experience...
With someone
And
with a
like
tiny,
you can
tiny
like what's this? Oh, I'm supposed
That's for
to
your
pull it
finger.
out.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
You don't lose
But like, but what's that gonna do? Is your first anal experience?
Yeah, but you have
Try
to
it.
think.
Now.
Yeah, but you have to think of anal beads.
Try it
They're
tonight.
only a small little ball to start off with, so
Yeah,
it's
but they
probably
go
the
up in
circumference of
size
that.
though, don't they?
I know, but you obviously just
You must
pop
have
in
bigger
your
ones then,
first
do
you know-
one.
I tell you what,
Do
I
you know what
sell
I'm
bigger
more-
sounds in my shop than that,
Do you know what
and that goes down your jab
amazes
size.
me the most about that? It's a fucking fire.
Yeah,
For
true.
that?
Like, well, I mean, you seen how much fucking like silicone in it? It's like nout.
Yeah. She doesn't look like she's enjoying it. She's blurred her face out to try and cover that up.
Exactly. But that's just nah. It disappoints us every time I see it because when
love that,
someone
please.
buys it, I'm just like, that's as far as you're gonna go. That's the level to
what do you
which you're
expect-
gonna
what do you
shove
expect them
something
to
up
do?
your arse.
What do you expect them to do? Start with fucking Craig's cock?
Well, I mean, maybe it's not that
Recommend
fucking
me
big,
instead.
but yeah.
If you can
So-
fit his
You have to
mushroom up,
start off
you're
somewhere
fucking
though, don't
on
you?
your road to great aim.
Okay,
If it's my
would
little
you
finger
start
there.
off that small?
Well, I don't want anything up my ass, so I wouldn't start at any fucking...
I've put bigger things than that up my arse.
Have you tried it, like?
Why? I? Because hey, we've got the fucking. Oh no, I've not tried this. So
you-
like,
And then you
that,
put it back on the shelf.
that would
after
get
you've
lost.
tried it.
that man.
Get lost.
I scratch my arse, a bigger finger accidentally goes up, man. Nah, because us men, we've got the whole prostate thing. So I've had like one of them prostate things to see if it's good. Put it up, did fuck all for me.
You know,
So-
when you're touching your prostate properly, though, if you don't know what you're doing.
Well, yeah, like that is
You've
true.
seen what happened
I don't know what I'm doing.
Sean William Scott in Road Trip when the fucking nurse does it. He was in fucking.
That is true. I have never
There's
had it
nothing
like massaged by a lovely lady. But
Apparently it's spongy or something when they touch it.
nah.
That's a bit
something
like the
that.
G-spot for a woman. It's meant to be spongy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that's the when
Come
you're like.
hither motion.
Yeah,
isn't it?
exactly.
Curl around the fucking corner.
I mean, that's literally the only way I can get a woman to squirt. The come hither motion on the
Yeah.
spongy thing at the top.
Spongy thing at the top.
You can tell I'm a bloke.
Oh, I don't know, you achieved it there a couple of weeks ago,
yeah.
didn't you? You did it
I
with
mean,
your
so
cock.
did fucking you, eh?
Aye.
We fucking all did.
What would you say? if
It
you,
was a good
like,
day, that.
It wasn't for my fucking sofa.
Yeah, true, like.
It wasn't for me for cleaning it.
Fucking hell.
What would you say if your man walked in as you're shoving something up your ass?
Well, it's better than leaving. It's
experimenting.
better than leaving custard creams next to your bed like my fucking mate, isn't it?
Fine, yeah.
Oh, by the way, I just want to say it wasn't Craig. It was somebody else.
It's a bit misleading that though as well, because if a lass is expecting that's what it's going to feel like when you shove your cock up their ass, they're going to get a bit of a shock.
Yeah,
Depends on
I
the
think
size.
No,
we
you have.
would.
I
We'll
would.
start off with this.
I would automatically think that's
What are
just
you
a
getting out for? We're not
starter.
trying, are we?
Obviously, you're going to stretch it more when you have
Bend
sex
over,
with like
Craig.
a proper cock.
There you go. I probably wouldn't feel that.
Some fucking girls sleep with big ones up their ass all night when they know they're
bloody
gonna.
I
hell.
thought it was rock hard, not.
That is.
That looks like
that's
an
weird.
alien tit,
Doesn't
doesn't
it?
it?
looks like a sweet.
That's definitely starting off small because it hasn't got any sort of hardness to that.
I know.
If that was a hard plastic one that they moved up to next, exactly the same size, that would be like starting again. They'd fucking shit themselves.
That's it.
That's dead weird.
Oh, it's a bit
Isn't
hard
it?
there. So
No, it doesn't.
Go in.
Like, I mean, for a £5, like, I could see the fun in, like, I don't know, like, maybe flicking it around or something. But, like, I don't know. For its actual use, I just think it's a load of bollocks. And the fact that we sell so fucking many of these.
God.
Insane.
There's a lot of people on the early stages of fucking the bone.
I suppose, like.
Oh, question for you though, James.
Right.
You sell a lot of, because of where you're situated and that, a lot of by men or women.
Do you know what? This one is generally by women. Like,
because it's pink, is it? Oh, am I being sexist?
Yeah, no, do you know what? I think it might be like. But there's been like a few men buy this.
Quality.
Like, quite a lot of the men who buy this tend to immediately go to the sauna. That's also on our road.
Right.
Which is the thing, I didn't think that
steam was
was
going to make it easier or something.
Well, I didn't think that was kind of the done thing, but quite a lot of the people who go to the sauna, they'll come into my shop and they'll buy a toy to take in with them, and I just didn't know that was what really happened. I thought they just
reckon
kind of
something's been going on in the sauna room where like single people have been going or something. They all meet up for a
orgy.
Oh well, no, I mean that's what the sauna is for. Like, it's a gay sauna.
Oh, is it?
But I just didn't think the like. We're allowed to take toys in or anything. So, I don't know, it enlightened me.
Obviously, it's a special type of fun sauna for some people, isn't it? So,
does your sex shop have like a public toilet? Because I just wonder what would go down in there. Like, if you...
No, do you know what? We do have a toilet, but obviously
you don't let them in.
That's for your
I'm there
use.
on my own, so it's like
they just go in the toilet with like a load of DVDs and fucking.
So what do you do if you need a shit to work? Do you have to run and lock the door quickly? And
yeah, lock the door. I've got a sign on the door. I've got
having a shit. Just wait there.
No. It's be back in a flash. I'm having a slash, and then back in a bit having a shit.
So you got to choose the one you have.
So, got to figure out.
Fucking hell, I'll start and read fucking the social media and everything when I'm on I'll not be back in the fucking day. Fucking 20 minutes before this.
Aye, well, when the shop's shut, I'm not earning. Got to hit that bonus, you know. So I tend to just hold it in.
Oh, no, I can't do that.
Fucking explode when I get home.
That's so nice to know.
Right. But hey, I've not missed that bonus in about 8 months.
Have you not?
Nah.
Fucking hell, you're a proper fucking heckler, aren't
Yeah,
you?
man. Why?
This is going to go up someone's ass and we've been all playing with it. You watch them before you put the stuff back that we play.
Right, I reckon we should close off the show while Craig's staring at it because I think he's fascinated by
Made in
that.
Hong Kong.
So, thank you for listening to the stream. We hope you've enjoyed the chat, and most of all, I hope you'll join us again soon. Once again, if you're a company, a web designer, a sex shop chain, or even a model, and you want to advertise on the show, then you can pay our monthly fee, which is featured over the 2 hours of the show, and you get featured in it several times. So if you email dustfilms@xx@gmail.com for more info on our different tariffs of sponsorship packages. You can also tweet us and Instagram us, email us, YouTube us, DM us on any way you fucking want. Put your questions in. And what was that thing before we go, Craig, that you wanted people to write in about? It wasn't embarrassing sex facts, it was something else. What was it?
Wasn't it embarrassing sex toys or something?
Aye, embarrassing sex toys. Have you got any embarrassing sex toys?
The most weird ones.
The weirdest sex toys.
Well, they'll just all be fucking with them bad dragon.
They'll be in your shop.
Bad dragon penises and that.
Yeah, you seen them? They're fucking mad.
No.
There was one that was like alien as well, and it was like it looked like a fucking like the alien's heat from Alien. Ram that up.
You meant to fuck it.
Yeah, there's some fucking weird things. Nah, bad dragon. Look at them sex toys. Fucking weird.
Bad dragon.
I think Devon's got one.
Yeah, I think she does actually.
I was in Leiden when I went to Amsterdam. Fucking hell, every shop.
Oh yeah, the filth over there.
Fucking
good fun though.
Over there. Oh, it's good to go. It's good to go. Right, so it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
See you later. Fucking you bye and all.
I was gonna say he's grown, but no.
No, he's not.
Lower the tone right at the end.
Fucking you bye.
Bye-bye.
This programme was brought to you by itsadult.com, the official adult business directory for fans, producers, services, webcam, phone chat and more.